Are you sure? Who is it? Well, I don't know. All I know is that there is someone.
But the fact that you're telling me means you know.
Over the years, I have heard rumors that Demian was a womanizer. But those were mere gossips, Lucia.
I know that, but I don't want to.
Why not? I can pay you. I'm a rich man.
No, it's not about the money. And to be honest, I'm not happy to know that you lead a miserable life. On the contrary.
Oh, please. Just please forget about what Demian wants you to do. Just drop it. Go away and forget about me, Leonardo. Leave me alone.
But I can't. It will kill me. Lying heart.
Fue sembrando el veneno y la ambición entre dudas.
Wantie wasiwasi waniogopesha.
Mshenzi sana wewe, wajua lakini.
Wewe, rudi hapa. And don't you dare walk away on me. La sivyo nitakufukuza hapa kama mnyama.
Makweli wasokuwa na haya wana mji wao.
Babe, what's wrong?
Wamtetea nini huyu? Roho yake chafu kama ya mamake.
Sari, nimekuvumilia kwa muda mwingi sana. Wataka nini?
Good morning, the 5th of January 2022. You tune to KBC Channel 1 and you are watching Good Morning Kenya. I'm Regina Manyara, glad to have you on board. So much in store for you as far as news is concerned, given that all eyes are trained at Parliament today, where we're expecting a showdown as pro-government and those who are not pro-government, so to speak. All of them are in government, yes, but we have seen a divided house in the last few months. Talking about the political parties amendment bill of 2021. Which way will it go? Will these amendments that are being introduced by persons or rather members of parliament allied to UDA going to derail the process of passing the political parties amendment bill 2021? Well, the next 3 days, KBC Channel 1 is going to be broadcasting what is going to be transpiring at the floor of the House with keen focus on what is likely to change where we are headed in the next few months, and that is as far as the general election is concerned. Away from matters politics and what is going to be happening in Parliament, we're also going to be looking at the state of security as well as the COVID positivity rate as schools reopen amid talk about school unrest. Remember, during the president's address during the festivities, he actually told Kenyans, especially parents and learners, that we need to brace, especially if you're a parent or a student, that this year is going to be unique yet. 4 terms in a year. Can we handle it? We don't have a choice. Good morning once again. I'm not alone. I have a full house, so to speak. And let me hand it over to the only gentleman part of this team, and that is none other than Victor. Good morning, Victor. How are you?
Good morning, Regina. We don't have chips.
Oh.
Waru.
Waru Eco. Potatoes are available. However, that particular franchise argues that our local potatoes do not meet the standards.
We don't have Waru around. I mean,
it's not fair.
They don't meet the standards. They say buy Kenya, build Kenya, but you Kenyans do not meet the standards of what you prepare for you.
Can work. Doreen, you know this thing, right?
No way. No. How can you go to KFC and
but now how do you eat ugali with those chickens? If what hakuna supu, there's nothing.
Too dry.
No. See, magical hapa. We know how we do it. This is Kenya. So long as kuku is there, the rest need details, you know?
But you see, I think this particular franchise is taking a hit a little bit too late. KFC has been in the country, or rather operating in the country for the last 11 years.
Yes.
Yeah, and you remember Kenya prides itself as an ideal investment destination where such, or rather multinationals are given incentives to invest in Kenya.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, what is the ripple effect of having these franchises opening and operating in the country? And I think, in my opinion, and this is entirely my opinion, I think this particular franchise has to come out and tell us exactly what standards do they require?
Exactly.
What standards are these that they're talking about?
That Kenyans cannot give or bring.
We need to know. You can't say just standards blanketly. Tell us in detail.
No, but you see, by the time
the standards.
By the time they were coming to the Kenyan market, the authority looked at their terms and conditions, their market strategy, you know, everything that we're going to do. So their standard. So perhaps our Ruzetu does not meet their standard. I mean, from maybe either climate, you know, the soil, the treatment.
But on the flip side, can this be a wake-up call to Kenya? You know, someone said, nothing is preventing you from opening your own store, so to speak, or hotel just next to where KFC is and starting to sell your own instead of complaining. You know, because we keep saying buy Kenya, build Kenya, and then someone said if someone cannot, how can you be buying from them and they're not buying from you? So what is stopping you from opening yours and we can start buying from you because you're all about buying Kenya and building Kenya?
By that may be a valid argument, but let me just throw the spanner into the works. What is more difficult to produce? Is it chicken? Or is it potatoes?
No, chicken iko.
Now, you see, now let me drive this. We have been seeing the Ministry of Agriculture really putting in measures to ensure that especially smallholder farmers earn from their earnings. So from where I sit, when I hear the term standards, I want details. Tell me, are our potatoes sour? Are they not sweet? What is the level content of starch? Give me the standards so that I can know that I missed out on supplying to you because of X, Y, Z. That's all I think we need to know. Because if you're told your potatoes do not meet our required standards and our standards are 1, 2, 3, 4,
but you see,
then we can even see how our potato farmers can improve their quality of potatoes to meet supply. Because we're here to create business.
I don't think that is possible, Regina, because one, there is this, you know, in an international beverage company which makes some soda, name withheld. They have their own secret weapon. They wrote their own, you know, ingredients, recipe and everything else. They can never disclose. So that's what makes, you know, that business unique. Same to this one.
But can we compare that to actually this one? Honestly, can we?
I don't think that the recipe or ingredients can change, you know. As long as it's potato, whatever they want to do with it, it'll still come out the same. So they just need to tell us what standards they're looking for so that we can
But I still root for ours, bana. Waruzetu ni tamu. Kwanza Jen understands this thing very well.
Jen angekuwa hapa.
All right, good morning, Kenyans. It's on a hot plate of chips. We are talking about chips, all right? And we are serving you a hot good morning show here on KBC Channel 1. Karibu tena sana. It's Wednesday and still back to school week. Everything is happening. But you know what's happening? Always keep safe. During the closing season last December, some students lost their lives because of drivers misbehaving on the road, and even, you know, some got injured in the process. So we just beseech you to be very, very careful. I always say, better be late than be the late. All right? Good morning to the show. My name is Victor Olo.
Well, over here from the lowlands, my name is Stephanie Ayeta. I'm wishing you a happy new year. I hope you're ready for the 7 weeks of January. We are just in the first one, right?
Yeah.
So we have around 6 more weeks, but everything just, I hope you have great plans, goals for the year, and in everything, just never give up on hope, and things will be well. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to a great show today, and we have so much for you this year. I'm here for today's dailies. Once again, Happy New Year.
Well,
to you.
Speaking of Wednesday and back to school, I mean, this is basically what we expect the better part of this entire week, beginning yesterday, perhaps up until Friday, the back to school, you know, children coming from rural areas to urban, rural, and even just in between. So clearly, how are the roads going to be looking like just because of the back to school? Not forgetting there's still a lot happening on our roads. Some of the roads, especially in the city center, have been closed because of some construction processes here and there. So this is why this morning we'll just be tracking the traffic flow on most of these major roads, trying to look how they're looking like, and perhaps try to look at some better alternative routes for you, our viewers. And in addition to that, we have plenty more in store for you this morning. The different conversations we'll be having for you, as well as what will be happening on our dailies. And not forgetting the GMK News Briefs. Many thanks for making time. I'm Doreen Arange Okelo.
Now let's look at those stories that have been making headlines in the last 24 hours, and all eyes are trained on Parliament as a fresh heated debate is looming. Now members reconvene for a third special sitting to continue debating the political parties amendment bill of 2021. Having dispensed with 7 clauses in the bill in the previous special sitting, members are expected to start considering amendments on clause 8, which is said to be the most contentious, touching on the timelines for the formation of a coalition political party. Political experts say the contentious issues remain controversial because they are political and have far-reaching consequences. Kamchemanza with more.
Wednesday will yet again set the stage for members to intensely debate on the remaining clauses of the political parties amendment bill. The 2 previous special sittings left the House divided right in the middle. According to experts, the bill, which is political and has nothing for the masses, has 2 clauses that are putting members on their toes. One being the timelines for the formation of a coalition political party agreement.
It fixes the partners. You don't have adequate time to negotiate because you need time. You know, coalition making is not something, it's a process. It's not an event, and it takes quite some time. You have to agree whether you will do zoning.
5 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Duale.
The second is the proposed strengthening of the role of the Registrar of Political Parties in party nominations.
Wanajaribu kuweka hiyo ofisi ikuwe na nguvu sana katika kuhakikisha kwamba hizo kura za mchujo yeye ndiye anasimamia na atakuwa na usemi mkubwa. Na hiyo kidogo inaondoa zile nguvu za chama, vyama na uhuru wao wa kuweza kusimamia kura za mchujo.
Experts say the contentious issues remain controversial because they are political and they are going to have serious consequences. The reduction of timelines in forming coalition agreements is seen as restricting parties, hence fueling rejection of the bill.
Once you go into a coalition agreement, you can't come out. It means even if you go and you disagree, because there is still a long period between now and August when we'll have elections. So if you have already deposited the coalition agreement with the Registrar of Political Parties, then you realize that whatever coalition you have entered into is not, you are not getting all the things that maybe you agreed. It will be very difficult for you to exit.
One Kenya alliance, which has been touted as the third force, remains the priority for both the top parties. However, experts opine that the timelines in the formation of coalition agreement as proposed will work in favor of the handshake side should Oka fail to join hands with them.
They will be able to know the strategy, the other side. So it allows them now the opportunity to know how to deal with them. But you know, Ruto is also trying to court Musalia and Wetangula to a large extent.
In the special sitting that will run through Friday, proponents of the bill are hopeful that they will manage to dispense with the matter and pass the bill.
Clause 8 said to be contentious and with far-reaching, in its impact in as far as matters politics going forward, given that we are already on the campaign trail and August 8th we're going to be casting our ballot. Come 9 a.m. this morning, KBC Channel 1 is going to be televising what is going to be happening at the floor of the House. So do keep us company till then. Now we cross over from matters politics into matters security, where leaders in the troubled border of Pokot Central and Marakwet East have asked the government to provide adequate security in the area in the wake of fresh banditry attacks.
The new year has started on a rather uncertain note for residents of Chesegon, as hundreds of them flee their homes for fear of attack. Areas of Cheptulel, Apollo and Sokodo centers have also been affected. Sigor MP Peter Lochakapong, who toured the area, expressed concern over laxity by the security organs to conduct an operation in the area.
Tulikubaliana katika mikutano mingi na serikali kwamba hapa katika Chesegon hii waweke kituo cha polisi, na mpaka leo hiyo kituo haijajengwa, askari hawajakuja kukaa hapa, na sasa watu wetu wa West Pokot hapa na Sigor hapa wako na shida.
Sisi kama watu wa eneo hili tumesikitika, na tunatoa wito kwa serikali ifanye jambo la kuweza kuleta amani, na kuleta hii amani lazima serikali askari wawe eneo hili, walete KBR, kwa sababu wananchi wa eneo hili hawana la kujilinda nayo. Wananchi hawana chochote cha kujilinda nayo.
The MP said that businesses have been affected and residents are running out of supplies, noting that the government needs to urgently intervene in bringing food aid to the affected areas.
Mimi ningependa hata kuhimiza serikali na kusema watafute security ya hizi mashule, watafute askari ya kulinda mashule hizi ndio shule ziweze kufunguliwa. Ya pili, hata chakula, kwa sababu sasa vile watu wametoroka namna hii, hata kutafuta karo na kutafuta hata kitu ya kupeleka watoto shule imekuwa changamoto. So nataka nieleze serikali pia iweze kwa ile inaitwa school feeding program ama njia nyingine yoyote itafute chakula na iweke katika mashule hizi ndio watoto waweze kuendelea bila wasiwasi.
Pokot Central Sub-County Police Commander Bamford Suro, however, says that they are doing patrols along the border to make sure residents graze their livestock and ensure that everything is normalized.
Indeed, kuna some heads of animals ambayo wali manage kuchukua, but finally tulipambana na wao na bado tuko kwa ground so that how the community wanaweza kuendelea kulisha ng'ombe wao bila matatizo.
There has been ongoing killings along the border despite the Chesegon Peace Accord signed in 2019 between the warring communities.
Away from matters security, Deputy President William Ruto has rubbished claims that his competitors could rig him out of the presidential election. Speaking during his campaign tour in Kakamega and Bungoma counties, the Deputy President assured his supporters that his victory will not be stolen in favor of his main rival and Orange Democratic Movement party leader, Raila Odinga.
After touring Trans Nzoia County on Monday, Deputy President William Ruto on Tuesday took the Hustler Movement campaigns to Kakamega and Bungoma counties.
Bottom alafu hapa. Watu wa bottom up hapa nione watu wa bottom up.
Ruto, while accusing his competitors of sensing defeat in the August elections, rubbished rumors that his victory will be stolen by his competitors.
Wamesema hata huyu Deputy President akishinda kura, ati deep state na system haiwezi kukubali atangazwe kuwa president. Mnasikia hiyo porojo? Mnasikia hiyo propaganda? Sasa mimi nataka niulize nyinyi, watu wa hapa Liguyani. Nyinyi mkiniona mimi ni mtu ya kunyang'anywa kura kweli?
Accompanied by a section of leaders from the Western region, the UDA brigade held series of rallies and stopovers in Likuyani, Tongaren, Webuye East and Webuye West, where they popularized the bottom-up economic model, saying it will open up the country and ensure no Kenyan is left behind.
Hawa watu tunataka tuwaambie, huyo ambaye mumeamua ndiye atakuwa rais wenu, huyo kibaraka wenu, ambaye mumesema atakuja kuchunga mali yenu, ambaye mumesema ati nyinyi mumechagua, sisi wananchi hapa chini tutachagua rais ambaye atasimamia haki ya watu wote. Wewe mtu akikuuliza, mwambie Deputy President ako na sera, Khalwale ako na sera ya kufungua pesa ya dairy farming, ya kufungua pesa ya farming, and I am going to do it with him because he's a doctor and I am a doctor.
From the campaign trail in Kakamega and Bungoma all the way to Kisumu County, it is back to school. But PSVs in Kisumu are yet to implement the directive by the government to have unvaccinated persons barred from using their vehicles. On a spot check bar reported down in Kisumu, it indicated that PSVs were ferrying every passenger available and even hiked fees amid the back to school freeze.
The directive by the government barring unvaccinated people from using public transport vehicles appears to have fallen on deaf ears as some matatu operators in Kisumu chose to carry every passenger available regardless of their vaccination status. PSV operators said it was difficult to implement the directive as this will deny them business.
Sisi danganya baba kwa saa hizi kwa juu hapa stage venye tuko hatuna venye tunaweza tambua ati nani amepata chanjo na nani hajapata chanjo.
Unajua watu wote huwezi uliza, lakini kwa wale wamekuja kwa masaa hizi, hata tukienda na wewe pale, nikiuliza utaona watatoa message ya kwamba amechanjwa. Sasa hata sisi tumebelieve ya kwamba watu hata mimi nimechanjwa.
And as schools reopened for third term, some matatu operators opted to maintain the normal bus fare rates, citing the difficult economic situations parents are facing. They noted that the COVID-19 pandemic has taken a toll on many parents, hence hiking the fares would only compound the parents' misery.
Hatuna bei tumeongeza kwa sababu watu wametoka Christmas, watu wametoka New Year, na hii nini ya COVID pia ilileta kila kitu ya kwamba ati fulani alipe pesa fulani, kwa sababu hata saa hii ukiongeza bei bado ni kuumiza wazazi.
The difficult economic situations, however, did not deter some operators from hiking the bus fares as they took advantage of the high demand for transport occasioned by schools reopening to make a kill.
Sasa saa hii inabidi, unajua saa hizi hakuna magari, ni uchache wa magari. Unapata saa hizi magari Nairobi, unajua saa hizi tuko na two way. Saa hii watu wanatoka huku wakienda Nairobi, kuna wengine wanatoka Nairobi wakuje huku. Kumaanisha magari zetu kwa saa hizi imekuwa chache.
Modern Coast Coach, for instance, charged 4,000 shillings from Kisumu to Mombasa against the normal 2,200 shillings and 1,700 shillings from Kisumu to Mombasa against the 1,200 shillings charged on normal days.
That is what was happening down in Kisumu County. Now, Juni Karisa, who is down in Mombasa, also did a spot check to just find out what was happening in this week long of back to school. Here's her report.
The streets of Mombasa, as well as several bus stops across the coastal town, witnessed a beehive of activities as parents rushed their children back to school. At bookshops, it was a pale shadow of crowds, contrary to what was experienced in the previous years.
Kulingana na msimu corona, biashara iko chini sana, kulikuwa ni hakuna mapato yote.
Just like many businesses hard hit by the pandemic, the traders lament that the sales have dropped sharply.
Sasa hii tushukuru Mungu kiasi mapato yanaanza kuingia, lakini si vile kama kawaida yetu tulivyokuwa tunapotarajia.
Parents too are decrying lack of funds to cater for their children's education.
Vitu viko ghali na uniform ghali, lakini hata kuna kitu kufanya. Tutanua hivyo hivyo. Ndio maisha ni ghali. Fee ndio hivyo, hawezi kuchukua watoto bila school fee. Utamtoa mtoto kumfikishwa mpaka rudi mpaka upate wanataka cash money. Na kwa sasa mambo yalikuwa magumu, COVID plus sikukuu. Hatuwezi ku afford anyway.
Huu mwaka wamesema ni 4 terms. Ambapo pale mbeleni ilikuwa ni kwa mwaka mzima ni 3 terms. Ambapo fee ilikuwa tunalipa maybe for 3 months. Lakini sasa unaona imekuwa squeezed kidogo, ni miezi miwili. Ingekuwa pia fees pia inapungua kidogo, tukakava at least hiyo time.
At public transport terminus, anxiety over reaching school crippled students due to shortage of buses in the town. This caused a scramble for seats in the few available buses that came back.
Hii safari ya leo inakaa like taya saa hivi juu walituambia tukuja hapa by saa 8, lakini saa 9 nielekea saa 10, gari bado haijakuja na hatujui itakuja saa ngapi.
Gari ilikuwa nifike saa 9, tutoke saa 9:30, lakini kufikia saa hii hatujaona gari yoyote. Wangepeana time limit ya wanafunzi kuripoti shuleni, kwa sababu wanafunzi akichelewa kufika shuleni the following day lazima aende na mzazi, ambayo inakuwa ni gharama zaidi.
Residents urge the government to address the high cost of living.
Serikali ipunguze kila kitu, manake kila kitu ni ghali kwetu.
Hata pia makampuni pia unapata pia wafanyikazi pia mshahara wao ulikuwa umepunguzwa, wanapata pesa kidogo, na sasa ni kujikakamua tu ili maisha tu yaendelee mbele.
We'll be keeping tabs on what is happening as far as back to school. This is the week where we're having pupils and students reporting to their various learning institutions on an educational year that is going to consist of 4 terms. We'll be keeping tabs on that. Now back to matters health, where the country has recorded a sharp increase in COVID-19 positivity rates in the last 1 month, currently standing at 22.6%. Nairobi still leads with the highest number of infections, but medics in Siaya County are raising an alarm over the surge in infections being recorded daily, mainly from those unvaccinated.
Kenya has continued to record a double-digit COVID-19 infection rate for weeks now. On Tuesday, 2,402 new COVID-19 infections were recorded out of 10,638 samples screened. This representing a 22.6% positivity rate. As county governments continue to be urged to be extra vigilant, Nairobi still leads in number of new infections at 1,000. Siaya comes in second with 221, followed by Uasin Gishu with 160, Mombasa 108 and Nakuru 97. Medical professionals in Siaya County are concerned by the number of cases being recorded in the county. The county immunization coordinator Joshua Ondiege says Siaya has been recording a 50% positivity rate.
People are just mixing freely. People are not minding about the mask, the distancing.
Ondiege said the majority of hospital admissions were the unvaccinated people.
All the people that have died within our isolation wards, they are all people who have not gotten vaccine. And even most over 80% of the people who are admitted in the ward, they are people who have not gotten the vaccines. The rest of the other people, even if they get the infections, at least it's manageable, they are managed at home.
According to data from the Ministry of Health, Nairobi leads in number of those fully vaccinated at 34.5%, followed by Nyeri at 31.9%, Laikipia 25.4%, Kiambu 22.7%, and Kakamega at 19.8%. The data further shows that Tana River has the least number of vaccinated people at 3.6%, followed by Turukana at 4.4%, Wajir 4.6%, Narok 5.2%, and Bomet 5.3%. Meanwhile, the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers wants weaknesses in health systems addressed in order to achieve the universal health coverage aspiration.
The following are some of the challenges that have been identified across. One is lack of well-defined and a long-term strategy on employment of healthcare workers. Two is poor health human resource management strategies and system. Three, inadequate health financing. Four, lack of comprehensive health workforce capacity development strategies. 5, short-term contractual engagement terms of employment for healthcare workers.
Ni vipi tutaweza kutengeneza system moja
ambaye inaangalia welfare ya wafanyakazi wa afya wakiwa pamoja, na ambapo hakuna disparities ama differences, kwa sababu unapata huku wamefutwa, huku kwingine walipwe mshahara.
On that note, we take a quick break. We'll be right back with more news.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere.
One more day, one more day. I was born with a heart of a champion. Doesn't take a very long time to say thank you, Jaja, thank you, Jaja. When the music I play, sleep. Under on the highway, I ain't taking no calls on my struggles in the rearview mirror. We always gotta sing together, play together. Girl, I'll be honest, gotta ride the weather, come whatever. Lift up your head and hold it up high. We know that we'll win the prize. 用一段故事建筑一座城堡。
Hey, I have an idea. Even if he is a star, he is still a human.
Stop daydreaming.
I can ask her to come and look.
You think she'll listen to you? She'll never change her plans.
Can officially declare.
You could stop. My father will be grateful for your kindness, whether you are a friend or an enemy.
Sooner or later, he'll lose. Even if I did nothing. His sponsors wouldn't allow him to just play his silly games. Has he even turned a profit yet?
Not only with power, but your corporation too. Or worse, you want something far beyond just that.
用一段故事建筑一座城堡，回放进去后就不再打。
Good morning. If you're tuning in, this is Good Morning Kenya, where we keep you informed on all that has been happening in the last 24 hours. Being the 5th day of January 2022, all eyes are trained on Parliament. And the questions is formation date as well as the powers of the registrar and identity of coalitions. Some of the contentious issues that have been raised on the floor of the House as members of Parliament meet yet again for a 3-day special sitting, and KBC Channel 1 is going to be televising that live for you. The Political Parties Amendment Bill of 2021. But before then, let us keep you updated on those stories that have been making headlines, and we cross over to Kisii County, where a family in Nyakegogi village, Samantha Sub-County in Kisii, is pleading for financial assistance to bury their 5 relatives who perished in a road accident. Ronald Bundi, his wife and 3 daughters died in a grisly road accident on 25th of December 2021 when they were traveling from Mombasa to Kisii for the Christmas festivities.
25th of December 2021 will forever remain in the memory of this family in Nyakegoge village in Kisii County, a day they were left with the emotional scar of losing 5 members of their family. Ronald Bundi was travelling home for Christmas with his family before the vehicle they were travelling in was involved in a grisly road accident along the Mombasa-Nairobi highway, claiming his life, that of his wife and their 3 children. The burden of their death now weighing heavily on this family who cannot afford the burial expenses.
Na hiyo ajali ilichukua hapo wasasi wote wawili na watoto wawili. Na huyo msichana akapata injury ya kichwa ambayo ilionekana kama alipatwa na internal bleeding. Akawekwa ICU kuanzia Jumamosi hadi juzi Ijumaa kuamkia asubuhi akaaga.
2 sons who sustained injuries are receiving treatment at the Coast Referral Hospital in Mombasa, with the relatives now calling on well-wishers and the government to assist them in mobilizing funds to cater for the burial expenses and medical bill.
Wale watoto wengine wawili walipaki wa kifurana wako hospitali General Hospital Mombasa, wanaendelea kutibiwa, wameshafanywa operation, bado wako hospitalini.
Na tunaona kuna ugumu kwa hii familia kuweza kuleta hiyo miili yote kutoka huko Mfuoi, alafu ndio ipate kushikwa siku ya Ijumaa. Tunaomba wahisani wasaidie familia. Unaona vile wameongea, wako na kilio chungu nzima, kwa sababu huyu ndiye alikuwa anasaidia familia, kwa sababu yeye alikuwa amejimudu kikazi. Yeye alikuwa ni mtu ambaye anafanya kazi ya ujenzi, na kwa sababu ya hiyo sasa familia ni kama imepata mwanya ambaye itachukua muda mrefu kushiba.
To support the family, you can send your contribution to M-Pesa paybill number 247247, account number 191501. The plea coming even as a boda operator and 3 pillion passengers are feared dead after a grisly road accident involving 2 motorcycles and a minivan happened at Matakari Junction along the Embu-Kiritiri Road. The pillion passengers are a middle-aged woman and 2 children.
Huyo mtu wa boda alikuwa na overtake, na wakati alikuwa na overtake kuna bodaboda ingine imemgusha akapoteza control, akaanza kuyuba kwa barabara, na upande ya majibo kuna gari ya GVS ilikuwa imetoka. Sasa huyo jamaa amejaribu kutoka kwa barabara akashindikana, hiyo gari ya GVS ndio imemgonga juu jamaa alikuwa ametoka kwa barabara.
This latest accidents worsens the upward trajectory of statistics on tragic road accidents in the country. According to the National Transport and Safety Authority, over 4,000 people were killed in various accidents as of November 30th in 2021. Road safety experts attribute the worrying trend to recklessness by road users and ill-fitted or faulty speed governors.
Watendadau wote waingie barabarani vile tulivyofanya 2015, 2016, 2017. Tunataka tushirikiane hivyo ili at least tuokoe watu wetu wawache kuendelea kumalizwa na barabara.
Road Safety Association of Kenya Chairman David Njoroge Kiarie is urging all road users to be more vigilant.
Well, that is a very, very sad story there. It has made it both on mainstream media as well as, just looking at, where we are in as far as matters road safety are concerned. Now we, as KBC Channel 1, we have started off a new sense of coverage in as far as our 47 counties are concerned. So what do you know about County 001? I'm talking about Mombasa County. Here is Jacqueline Mombiru with a series that is going to be running consistently for the next several weeks, just profiling the various counties that we have and what they have in store for Kenyans therein. County 01, here's a fact file.
Mombasa County lies on the shores of the Indian Ocean along Kenya's coastline, covering 220 square kilometers. Although the smallest county geographically, the county has the fourth highest average contribution to gross domestic product in Kenya. It hosts the port of Mombasa, which is the key entry and exit point for cargo belonging to Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Democratic Republic of Congo, Tanzania, South Sudan, Somalia, and Ethiopia. Fort Jesus is another of Mombasa's key features. It was built in the 1590s. Ferry is largely the mode of transport between Mombasa Island and the county's mainland suburb, with the standard gauge railway standing out as a link between Mombasa and Nairobi. Moi International Airport is in Mombasa and is majorly used by local and international tourists. Economic activities comprise tourism, fisheries, forestry, maritime activities including port and shipping. Mombasa County has a population of 1.2 million according to 2019 Kenya Population and Housing Census. It has 6 sub-counties and constituencies: Changamwe, Jomvu, Kisauni, Likoni, Mvita, and Nyali. Ali Hassan Joho is the county's governor, serving his second term. Mombasa County has 580,000 registered voters, according to IEBC 2017 records.
Good morning. Once again, you're watching KBC Channel 1. Now we cross over to matters business, where traders exporting goods to Uganda might be forced to incur additional charges before accessing the East African nation market. This is after Uganda issued a notice directing all persons, including truckers, to take a mandatory COVID-19 vaccine at the border point at their own cost. The vaccine certificate will only be valid for a week.
Since the first case of COVID-19 was reported in Kenya, trade between Kenya and her neighboring countries has been running into headwinds due to measures aimed at controlling the spread of the virus. Mid-2020, Kenya ordered the closure of the border except for cargo vehicles in measures aimed at containing the spread of COVID-19, with Tanzania retaliating by banning all cargo trucks from Kenya. The same scenario is likely to play out between Kenya and Uganda, after Uganda directed all people and trucks entering the country be vaccinated at the border points at their own cost.
Maybe Uganda have put up other measures which they have said it is mandatory that anybody entering the country must test. So it is not the issue of saying that our results have a problem. Our results have no problem. It is only their own measures that we have decided as a country to enforce.
The vaccine certificate will be valid for only 1 week and will cost 3,600 Kenyan shillings.
Inafaa waaminiane kwa sababu huu mwaka wa 3 tangu mambo ya COVID kila mmoja anapima kwao. Hao wanapima wanaingia Kenya, hakuna shida. Na sisi tunapima Kenya tunakwenda Uganda, ilikuwa hakuna shida yote.
These as Kenyan exporters to Ethiopia are complaining of increased levies charged at the Kenya-Ethiopian border point in Moyale. The Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Moyale chapter, claim they are charged up to 300,000 Kenyan shillings by Kenyan authority to clear foodstuffs that are destined for the Ethiopian market.
Kama saa hii current ile issue imetuleta hapa ni mambo na double taxation. Idara moja ikiletwa hapa, mambo ushuru kiongezeka, sisi kama wafanyabiashara tunafaa kuitwa tuelimishwe.
They want the government to harmonize taxes across the country to bring down export levies.
Tunalipa 187 zamani, totally ikiongezwa caps, kefis, health, maneno mingi yanaendelea, inafika mpaka 300,000. Na kule border zingine Uganda na Tanzania ni 26,000.
The 70-kilometer Nanyuki-Rumuruti road has been earmarked for a 3.3 billion shillings upgrade, Infrastructure Principal Secretary Paul Maringa says the road will open up the region for more investment and is part of plans to rehabilitate and construct 250 kilometers of roads in Laikipia County.
Laikipia is set for a road network upgrade program that seeks to open up one of Kenya's key tourism destinations for more investments. The 70-kilometer Nanyuki-Rumruti-Maram Road is said to be tarmacked at a cost of 3.3 billion shillings in a move that the government says will enhance tourism activities as tourists will easily access a number of conservancies along the road.
As we look for sufficient funds to upgrade this road fully to bitumen standards, it's a 70-kilometer road that will cost about 3.3 billion shillings. We really can't wait until then. We want to start doing it on a stage improvement basis.
The government has set aside over 30 billion shillings to tarmac 250 kilometers of road in Laikipia County. Kera has so far constructed 223 kilometers of road at a tune of 13 billion shillings, while 3 billion is being spent by Kenha to construct 65-kilometer Naibor-Marara Road that links Laikipia and Samburu counties.
One of our biggest investment in this region of Laikipia and Samburu is a road that runs from Naibor to Kisima to Marara. It's a 65-kilometer road, currently about 88% complete.
The government has reaffirmed its commitment to complete key roads construction this year.
Also some great news. Multi-choice customers packages will be upgraded at no additional charge. The firm says it seeks to increase customers' experience in the next 3 months as part of its marketing strategy.
Both active and disconnected multi-choice customers are set to benefit from a promotional upgrade that will run up to March this year. MultiChoice Kenya head of marketing Celeste Muli revealed that the step-up promotion is a limited offer to give customers a new viewing experience and access to great entertainment at great value.
The promotion is valid for all our customers, whether you're active, disconnected, or even if you're a new DSTV customer. So what this means is that if the customer is currently on the DSTV Compact package, but you pay for the DSTV Compact Plus subscription, which is 5,100 Kenya shillings, the customer will be upgraded to DSTV Premium at no additional cost for a period of 30 days.
The deal will see DSTV and GoTV customers get upgraded to a second higher package upon payment for a package higher than their last active subscription.
Any upgrade based on the payment which you make will only be valid for the duration of the period, promotion period, which as mentioned 5th January to 31st March 2022 for one billing cycle.
MultiChoice says it will continue committing to deliver the best video entertainment experience as it seeks to further penetrate the Kenyan market.
Mombata's business let's delve into the sporting world, where preparations to host the World Cross Country Tour at Lobol Village in Uasin Gishu County are in top gear. This was confirmed by Athletics Kenya President Lieutenant Retired General Jackson Tuwei during an official launch of the tour that was graced by Sports Cabinet Secretary Ambassador Amina Mohammed. The tour will be renamed Agnes Tirop Classic Tour in honor of the late top athletics Cream de la Cream.
Kenya will for the first time host the World Cross Country Tour, which was inaugurated this year by World Athletics. The Kenyan round will be held on 12th Feb and has been renamed Agnes Tirop Cross Country Classic in honor of the fallen athletics superstar. The tour was officially launched Tuesday at Lobol Village, Uasin Gishu County.
It gives me a lot of pleasure to declare this launch done, and to thank all of you, to say that again I was extremely delighted when I was asked to come and do this one, being the first one on the continent, but also the continental tour, the Kip Keino continental tour being also one of the first ones that was ever was ever hosted in the south, in the global south. So we're really grateful to them.
Wanted to create a logical long-term global calendar of international events to ensure more top-level competition opportunities and exposure for athletes in all areas of sport. That is why this tour was introduced.
Athletics Kenya will hold national trials on 22nd of this month to select a school that will feature in the world event. The first round of the tour will be held in March this year in Cerradilla, Spain.
On to soccer, where visitors Talanta FC ended Kakamega Homeboys' unbeaten run in the Kenya Premier League this season after registering a hard-fought 1-0 win at the Bukhungu Stadium, Kakamega. Elsewhere, KCB humbled Mathare United 1-0 to move top of the log with 25 points, the same as second-place Kakamega Homeboys.
Host Kakamega Homeboys came into the match hoping to extend the impressive run this season. However, Homeboys found themselves in trouble in the 16th minute when Talanta FC opened the scoring through former Kenyan international Edwin Lavata. The visitors held on to bag maximum points as Kakamega Homeboys registered their first loss this season.
The game was good. It's only that officiating was a little bit poor, but we managed to go with 3 points, of which was very important to us. And I think it's now the beginning, because we are planning for the next game, and we are just want to see whether we can be in a good position in the league.
Sijafurahisha na performance ya leo. Nadhani this is the worst performance tangu tuanze league. But kubwa zaidi, our concern was not being unbeaten, and concern yetu sasa ni kutafuta ubingwa. So hii haija change chochote. Na nadhani sasa imetoka katika fikira zetu kwamba unbeaten. Nadhani ndio mtu akwe bingwa katika ligi ya Kenya. Sana sana unapoteza zaidi ya michezo 5.
Elsewhere, KCB humbled Mathare United 1-0 to move top of the log with 25 points, same as second place Kakamega Homeboys. Kenya Police trounced Vihiga Bullets 4-0, Sofapaka lost 1-0 to Bandari, while Kariobangi Sharks registered a narrow 1-0 win over Ulinzi Stars.
Guinea, Malawi, Senegal and Zimbabwe form Group B of the postponed Africa Cup of Nations, which will be held from this Sunday to the 6th of February in Cameroon. Group B teams will take to the pitch on the second day of the continental tournament, with Senegal taking on Zimbabwe first in the early kick-off before Guinea face off Malawi. Let's just take a look at what the trend has been for members of this Group B.
Guinea will begin their continental title assignment against Malawi. Guinea made their footballing debut in an away friendly on 9th May 1962, losing 2-1 to Togo. In 1963, Guinea entered their first qualification campaign for an Africa Cup of Nations, the 1963 tournament in Ghana. They have never qualified for the FIFA World Cup finals, and their best finish at the Africa Cup of Nations was runners-up in 1976. The team reached the quarter-finals in 4 recent tournaments in 2004, 2006, 2008 and 2015. Malawi first qualified for an Africa Cup of Nations in 1984 when only 8 teams competed in the tournament in Ivory Coast. They have also qualified for 2 other Africa Cup of Nations in 2010 and this year's edition. They have also won the Sekafa Cup in 1978, 1979 and 1988. Senegal and Zimbabwe are the other sides in Group B. Senegal, nicknamed the Lions of Teranga, became the second African team to reach the quarterfinals of the FIFA World Cup after Cameroon in 1990, doing so in 2002 before losing to Turkey in extra time. Established in the early 1960s, they have been regular competitors in the Africa Cup of Nations, where their best performance were runners-up to Cameroon in 2002 edition in Mali and Algeria in 2019 edition in Egypt. 2002 also saw Senegal compete at the FIFA World Cup for the first time and reach the quarterfinals, having defeated reigning champions France in the opening game. The team made their second World Cup appearance 16 years later, where they were eliminated in the group stage. They start against Zimbabwe, who have never qualified for the FIFA World Cup finals but have qualified for the Africa Cup of Nations 5 times. Zimbabwe have also won the COSAFA Cup a record 6 times.
Uasin Gishu County Government, through the Ministry of Sports, has been asked to construct sports academies in every constituency to improve sports activity in the region. Speaking during in Ainakoi Sub-County Football League match, the Ainakoi constituency MP aspirant Terry Minor said she will be on the forefront in ensuring that untapped talent from the grassroots levels are nurtured.
Asante sana.
Kwenda ya Kiluka lina lango la Kiluka linasakama mchezaji namba
7. Serikali itupatie Sports Academy hapa Uasin Gishu County ili vijana wetu wapate kujifunza sports ya aina tofauti tofauti. Kuna training ya referees, lazima vijana walipe. Lakini serikali kitupa hiyo itakuwa ni vizuri. Ili vijana wetu ambao ni wengi wetu katika population ya Kenya under 35 years ni 70%. Hawa vijana tutawafanyia nini ikiwa tusiposhikana na
jaribu kudevelop talents mashinani. Kudevelop talent mashinani tutaanzia kwa the most basics, to train coaches, to train referees. Hawa ndio wata trickle down hiyo ujuzi mpaka kwa vijana ndio waweze kushowcase hizo talent, ndio wakuwe spotted, generally wa grow. Mpira ni kama all other discipline, inasaidia, it's an income generating discipline.
Well, that's a cap in as far as the news and matters are concerned. You can get further details on our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. We take a quick breather. When we return, we're going to be giving you a sneak peek of what has been captured in the various dailies that you have with us in studio. Do not go away.
Waniogopesha. Mshenzi sana wewe, wajua lakini. Wewe, rudi hapa. And don't you dare walk away on me. La sivyo nitakufukuza hapa kama mnyama.
Makweli wasokuwa na haya wanamji wao.
Babe, what's wrong? Wamtetea nini huyu? Roho yake chafu kama ya mamake.
Sari, nimekuvumilia kwa muda mwingi sana. Wataka nini?
De traición.
What? Are you sure? Who is it?
Well, I don't know. All I know is that there is someone.
But the fact that you're telling me means you know.
Over the years, I have heard rumors that Demian was a womanizer. But those were mere gossips, Lucia.
I know that, but I don't want to.
Why not? I can pay you. I'm a rich man.
No, it's not about the money. And to be honest, I'm not happy to know that you lead a miserable life. On the contrary.
Oh, please. Just please forget about what Demian wants you to do. Just drop it. Go away and forget about me, Leonardo. Leave me alone.
But I can't. It will kill me. Lying heart.
Fue sembrando el veneno y la ambición. Entre dudas.
Sauti ya Kenya.
Juu milimani na hata mabondeni, Radio Taifa inatamba kutamba.
Sasa unaweza kupokea matangazo ya Radio Taifa loud and clear popote ulipo Western Kenya.
Radio Taifa usisahau, unaweza ukatupata kupitia
ukiwa Busia, Siaya, Vihiga, Mumias, Yala na maeneo yaliyoko karibu. Radio Taifa inapatikana kwenye 104.5 FM, na ukiwa Bungoma, Kakamega, Kiminini, Kipkaren na viunga vyake, pata vipindi na burudani safi kupitia 92.3 FM. Radio Taifa, sauti ya Mkenya.
In the rearview mirror, sing together, play together. Girl, I'll be honest, gonna ride the weather, come whatever. Lift up your head and hold it up high. We know that we'll win the
Well, it's now 34 minutes past 7. That is around 26 minutes to the top of the hour. So let's take a look at some of the stories that are on the front pages of local dailies. Let me start with the Star newspaper here. And on the front page, Exodus looms as civil servants quit notice nears. Exodus looms as civil servants quit notice nears. Leaving office is required by election law. And MCAs seeking to run for MP seats must equally resign from their current jobs. That's a story making on the front page of the Star newspaper. It's a D-Day as CSS, PSS and CSS eyeing political seats to resign before February 9th. And Regina, you talked of that story of the Bundi family. That is the entire family who perished in a road accident is also on the front page here. The 5 family members, the mangled wreckage of their car, and now there's also a photo there of the mass grave that will in their hometown in Kisii County ahead of their burial on Friday. Still, we pray for grace to the entire family on that road accident. Okay, Ruto calls Mount Kenya tycoons useless, saying that it's Kenyans who will decide. Details briefly. And then there's a story here of uncertified medics providing anesthesia. Research says that sedation by non-physicians 8 times riskier. In some poorly resourced facilities, non-physicians are also allowed to use sedation drugs such as ketamine to facilitate essential surgeries. Now, this drug is preferred for sedation because it is extremely cheap and can be administered as an injection by clinicians with no specialty training in anesthesia. So there's a research there that is detailing on how uncertified medics are providing anesthesia in hospitals. That's a story that's worth reading. And then there's a story of family killed in crash to be laid to rest on Friday. I've just given you a sneak peek of that. And, family are still meeting to prepare for their burial right in Kisii County. Kenya Power ordered to pay 2 million shillings to electrocuted miner. High Court says that Magistrate Court ad raises general damages from 140,000 shillings, which was awarded to the miner, to 2 million shillings. Justice Kiare Wakiare on December 22nd ordered the Kenya Power, the power company, to pay for general pain and suffering, loss of income and future medical expenses. The accident happened in 2018 in Mbita. So after considering the injuries, according to the judge, the injuries which was sustained by the minor, the judge decided to set aside the award by the learned trial magistrate and substitute it with an award of 2 million shillings. So that is on the front page. Now there is a cartoon here showing the looming showdown in Parliament today, the political parties act. And now we have the MPs and Deputy President William Ruto, with a boxing placard, round 2. So we're expecting fireworks, of course. For Majority Leader Eden Duale, let me just give you a story. He says that coalition law may not apply in August election, according to Duale. He says that he cited clause 8B of the bill, which he said that makes the proposal time barred for the polls. So according to Duale, he said that proponents of the bill should not celebrate yet, as the process of having the proposed legislation into law is protracted and may end up dragging for months on the floor of the bicameral House. The MP cited clause 8B of the Political Parties Amendment Bill 2021, which he said makes the proposal time barred for the election. However, the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, which was considering the bill in its report to the House, reduced the period of submission of the coalition agreement to 4 months. Initially, it was supposed to be 6 months, but now JLAC reduce that particular bill, the period from 6 to 4 months. So that is now what is in contention in the House. And remember, it's going to be today in Parliament, and we'll be broadcasting that event live here on Channel 1. And finally, Exodus looms, and as I told you, for the civil servants who are contemplating to run for the political seats to resign, deadline February 9th. However, the law protects state officers such as President, Deputy President, governors and their deputies, as well as MPs, but MCAs are required by law to resign 6 months to the election. Critically, MCAs will also be affected, cabinet secretaries, principal secretaries, etc., etc. So, and even ambassadors and heads of admissions abroad who want to plunge into politics must also resign. So February 9th is the D-Day. And finally, on politics, Mudavadi's ally Aseka asks him to join Raila Azimio la Umoja. Aseka says that, Mudavadi has higher chances of inheriting Raila's support base should he decide to join Azimio la Umoja. He's being touted to be one of the notable figures in Nyanza and the western side of Kenya to take up after Raila Odinga. So they're still beseeching Honorable Musalia Mudavadi to join Azimio la Umoja. Let me go with you here.
Okay, so with me here, thank you. With me here is the Daily Nation, and there's quite a lot going on the front page. One of the news making the front page is the story about the students who are going back to school, tough conditions for learners, readmission. And we see a picture there of students from Maranda High School who are waiting to be readmitted on Monday, being required to show proof that they have undertaken a drug test. This is among one of the requirements that the government has set. And so it says learners in schools that were closed due to the unrest last year have to fulfill tough conditions before being readmitted to the institutions. The conditions for readmissions vary across schools, but include paying hefty fines, clearing outstanding fee balances, undergoing mandatory drug tests, and signing agreements that bind them to good behavior in the future. However, the situation is different for learners who have been implicated in either organizing or participating in various criminal activities that drew the attention of stakeholders as the wave of indiscipline and violence swept across the country. Learners at Upper Hill School in Nairobi who demanded to be released from school last term before the official closing days have been asked to report with the parents next week on Wednesday. But one parent says that it would be wrong for the school to punish those who decided to go home before the closing date. And then, however, the Kenyan Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers yesterday urged parents to stop siding with their children and instead give them the right advice, the right counsel. Still on the same page, we have some advice on for parents, for their children, how to keep their children safe while going to school because of the Omicron virus, which data from the Ministry of Health shows that most children are being infected in the current wave compared with the previous ones. Over the past week, more than 500 children have been infected compared with the fourth wave, when about 124 got the virus. And Nation spoke to Dr. Otieno just to answer some questions, and he said that there's a need for teachers to show proof of vaccination once schools have been reopened. He also said that students will be tested before returning to school, that those above the age of 15 should be vaccinated. They should wear face mask, and the exact type of mask that they should wear is the 3-ply surgical mask with an adjustable nose wire and K996 masks, which he said were more helpful although expensive. That is one of the news making the front page. We also have the main read saying why Ruto climbed down on coalition. We have this story on page 4 of the Daily Nation. The Deputy President has made a U-turn on his resistance to coalition but maintained a hard line on political parties in Mount Kenya. The DP has constantly insisted that anyone who is keen on working with him should join the United Democratic Alliance. However, it has emerged that the DP's camp has realized that going it alone might not be entirely the best strategy at a time when their main opponents are embracing other parties and fronting changes to the law to facilitate the registration of a coalition party through thought to be Azimio la Umoja. On a similar story, DP allies seek deal on party's bill. Some of his allies are negotiating to have certain offensive clauses expunged even as MPs begin a 3-day special sitting to consider the controversial bill today. Also still on the front page, we have oil farm protest, illegal importation. We'll get to details later on. Tycoon killers were contracted to kill... the tycoon's killer who were contracted have been arrested. Sudan's risks return to Bashir-style rule after the Prime Minister has resigned. Also, 5 suspects seized over Lamu attacks. Police link them to Al-Shabaab militants, even as another man is killed. We'll get to more details once we are done with everyone. So, Doreen, to you.
All right, let's come to the People's Daily, and perhaps you can just begin from that story which also makes its way on the front page of this paper. That is in respect to that political party's amendment bill, which is set to begin today up until Friday. But now the DP allies are threatening to head over to court if at all this bill is passed in both houses, that is the National Assembly as well as the Senate. So just as you know, my colleagues have mentioned, as KBC will be broadcasting that, we wait to see how that will pan out there. And also harsh reality for parents as schools reopen again, just as you've mentioned there, Steph, on the Daily Nation, is that parents are now required to make sure that their children get tested, that is for the drug test. And what the Ministry of Education is saying is that this is just to ensure that they curb the school unrest which have been happening over time, that is the entire period, actually the better part of last year. And for those parents who their children will not be coming with this particular test, then they will be sent home, because now this has become a requirement, as it has been mentioned by the Ministry of Education. Some bit of politics. Ruto pleads for Oka principles backing, that is the One Kenya Alliance, and specifically the ANC's party leader, that is Musalia Mudavadi. And since yesterday, we have been trying to mention where is the position of the ANC's party leader, given that he's being sought after by Ruto's UDA as well as Azimio's La Umoja, and whichever place he might choose, or if he chooses to actually go at it alone, what exactly will be his position there. And again, to some bit of health matters. Now, union decries shortage of medics and urges the state to recruit. When you get the details, I'll be telling you what exactly that is the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers is now telling the government, that is both the national as well as the county government, and there are different raft of measures that they're putting in place just to ensure that at least they become well staffed, because they're crying of being understaffed, and this is limiting how effective they can be able to work as medics or as health practitioners. And also to that story, or that we also had yesterday on the papers, this is again in respect to the Lamu attack. What the police spokesperson Bruno Shioso is now saying is that there are now 4 persons who have been arrested. These are just the 4 suspects, and they're also linking whatever happened in Lamu to land disputes. This again just comes is actually one of the recent attacks, which comes barely a day after 6 people were also killed in a similar manner on Sunday evening. This, what you're talking about, is the attack that happened on Monday, similar to what happened on Sunday. And the attackers also are reported to have torched several houses in the village before fleeing to the nearby areas. And this is why these 4 have been arrested. Also, investigations are continuing in the area in regards to that. And yes, we had this conversation when we were beginning the show this morning of that local franchise that is KFC. There's actually plans to now start sourcing potatoes locally, and this is after that uproar. Even up till now, as we speak, actually even on Twitter, the hashtag is still ongoing, boycott KFC. But again, there still remains, and as the CEO has mentioned, is that if at all they have to actually source this locally produced potatoes, then it means that farmers have to meet the local standards. And as Regina was saying earlier on, is that what standards are this exactly they are talking about? When you get to the details, I might perhaps highlight for you what exactly the CEO mentioned as it pertains to those standards that they're actually looking for, if at all they are to source for this local potatoes. And again, also, as it has been established since yesterday, is that at least looks like the tourism sector, looks like that at least they're slowly getting back to their feet. And now manufacturers, hospitality sector are now they're actually optimistic of this new year, despite the fact that it is the electioneering year, which might cause a bit of disruption in their functions. But they are optimistic to make gains and make it big compared to 2020 and 2021. Regina.
Now, the front page of the Standard this morning looks like this. Yes, the big read is all about what is going to be happening, and KBC Channel 1 is going to be televising live come 9 a.m. And we're talking about the controversial Political Parties Amendment Bill of 2021. The scribe this morning in this particular issue has gone with this. This is what they have written: knives out as MPs revisit the coalition's bill. What you need to know, or rather what is at stake in as far as that particular, the amendments as well as that bill, that the political parties bill, this is what is at stake. The formation date. Well, some MPs want the proposed coalitions to be formed 60 days before elections, but others want them, formed 90 days after. So there are those who want 60, there are those who want 60 days before, as well as others who are proposing 90 days after the polls. What about the powers of the registrar of political parties? Some legislators are pushing to reduce the power of the registrar to ensure the office cannot alter the party's nomination list. That is one argument. The other thing is the identity of the coalition. So after these coalitions, how will they identify themselves? So some leaders have proposed that each coalition must have a distinct identifying color, but this suggestion is still subject of debate. So the timing when you're going to be going on air is at 10 a.m. with what is going to be happening at the floor of the House. So these are 3-day special sitting of Parliament. So the question is, persons allied to Deputy President William Ruto, as well as those who are allied to rather supporters of President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga, will they have come to a consensus by Friday? And what will be the ripple effect of the consensus? Those are the questions that political pundits and experts alike are weighing, and this conversation gets heated and candid every day, Monday through Thursday, when Victor tackles matters politics. So you are in the right place. That is what we have on the front page of the Standard this morning, including matters of gender-based violence. Towards the end of last year, when the world was marking the 16 days of activism, we even had the president come out and say that indeed, matters of gender-based violence, as well as older people preying, older men preying on young girls and such, that is something that needs to be stopped so that we can secure the future. But now it seems that the issues of gender-based violence are taking a fatal turn, so to speak, with a story here that has been given precedence and finding itself on the front page of the Standard this morning, where a man is suspected of having killed his daughters in cold blood after an argument ensued between him and his wife. So according to the investigators' report, rather the police report at the Makinon police station in Makinon police station in Kinango sub-county. It is one girl's body was found in a pool of blood in her bed, while the other was found on the seat. We're talking about the bodies of girls aged between 7 and 5 who were found in a bed under a sofa. So the police claim that the man had a quarrel with the wife before the incident took place. So according to the police report, a Kamba male aged 54 years differed with his wife over domestic affairs, and he decided to kill his daughters in cold blood. Quite unfortunate. So a postmortem is set to be conducted on the bodies before they are released to the family for burial. Now, while this is happening, a 17-year-old boy, actually not 17, but a 28-year-old man is to be charged today for murder of his father on December 17th in Mombasa. The deceased, that is the father, was aged 69. He was a retired military officer, and he also served in the United Arab Emirates. Apparently, this man chopped the father and, stuffed the body in a sack in the house, and it's after the foul smell became too much that the neighbors got curious, and they opened up the house and found the old man. So come today, he's going to be charged, and we're talking about Abdul Majid Nagib, who is suspected of killing and mutilating the body of Nagis Abdallah Fateh before hiding it under the bed in their home in Bondeni, Mombasa County. When you talk about matters of gender-based violence, it does not necessarily mean husband-wife, but also now we are having father-son to deal with that. That is what we have on the front page of the Standard this morning. Victor.
DP tells Mount Kenya tycoons they're useless. Kenyans will decide. Says Kenyans must stand up against arrogance and chest thumping. The DP, who is touring Kakamega County, took a swipe at the Kikuyu elite group, the Mount Kenya Foundation, for endorsing ODM leader Raila Odinga to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta. He said that Kenyans must stand up against the arrogance and chest thumping by the elite group, which he said is out to protect its vast business interest. And I must say that in politics, everything is applicable. All right, so long as you don't attack. I think in politics they are not allowed to. They know the rule of the game. Don't attack your family members. You can wrestle each other much as you want, but there are certain parameters that you're not supposed to go past. So it's okay. The DP was referring to Mount Kenya Foundation, an influential wealthy club that has settled on ODM chief as the best aspirant to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta. There is a sad story here. Ex-prison boss Mwenda dies after bathroom accident. And I think, ladies, I just need to rope you in here. It's one of the most common deaths, per se. Anybody may trip kwa bathroom accidentally, or you just support yourself, you know?
Yeah. I've had many instances, but not maybe trip and support myself on the wall, but I've never really fell. But it happens a lot.
It happens a lot, and you can imagine many people have actually suffered incidents, and now ex-prison boss Mwenda died after another bathroom accident because he hit himself on the bathtub. And you can imagine after the bathtub accident, you're taken to the hospital because it's one of the most, it comes unexpectedly, you know. So he died 2 days in Mombasa after he suffered a head injury to that. All right, High Court extends order on mandatory COVID jab. Directive was to prevent those not fully vaccinated from accessing services. The High Court on Tuesday extended that, so the public places include national parks, bars and restaurants. High Court Judge Anthony Mrima said that the orders will remain in force until the matter is heard and determined. Now, the extension of the order was issued when the case came up for mention. Parties sought clarification on whether the order was still in force, given it had earlier stated until January 4th. So Justice Mrima also consolidated all the 5 matters related to the case. The government in November last year announced that it would require people to show vaccination certificates from December 21st, 2021 to access in-person government services, including hospitals, schools, tax and immigration offices. But still, there was confusion regarding to that because the government said that that order was in force and the court order was also in force. So there was a confusion as to who was right. Either way, court dismisses petition in Mumias Sugar lease case. The High Court, again, these are matters related to corridors of justice, has dismissed an application by Uganda-based Serai Group to overturn an earlier order suspending its lease award for Mumias Sugar assets. The ruling was issued by Justice Anthony Ndungu on the at the Milimani High Court in Nairobi on December 29th, and the court directed Sarai Group to comply with the December 29th ruling. So the lease was awarded to the Kenya Commercial Bank's receiver manager PVR Rao for the Ugandan farm on December 22nd. And we talked about it here last year, Regina, that you can imagine that Mumias Sugar Company will be back to business. And I was talking to some people over the December holiday, and the excitement over the lease to revive the Mumias Sugar Company is something that we can actually be happy about in talk of business. Regina?
Now, when you talk about business, when it talks about actually matters of sugar, I'd want to take you further to the Sugar Task Force report that was handed to President Uhuru Kenyatta, and some of the recommendation that this task force came up with was the issue of zoning.
Yes.
So that, you know, you have certain, these suppliers are meant to supply here, not elsewhere, to try and also give it, you know, a competitive edge. However, this was received by, you know, mixed reactions, especially from cane farmers, so to speak. So the revival of Mumias Sugar, so to speak, and actually being under new management, not so new, if you know what I'm saying. But this would actually give the lifeline to that sugar factory and also benefit the cane farmers if things are done correct. Remember, we had the revival of the river tax industry, and government came out and said, you see, this is going to go a long way in also ensuring that we earn more from textile matters. We also had the revival of Kikomi, and if you have been down in Kisumu, which I know you have, well, we said we are going to be reviving Kikomi, but is it up and running yet, even after that statement? Well, it is not in as far as Kikomi is concerned. Before I bring in Victor to give you your final word, and you're talking about excitement, let's also talk about our music industry and border it on matters politics. Remember, who can Bwogomi
Yes, the Gidi Gidi Maji
The
Maji.
lyrics of Gidi Gidi Maji Maji. Who can bogo me? Yes, that was 2022. Then
2002.
Yes, actually that was 2002. Yes.
Yeah, true.
Yes. And now 2017 we had Vindu Vichenjanga. Yes. Then we had the infamous Ben Gedai. You remember?
Yes,
we all
do.
remember that. But are these artists earning from their intellectual property? Because this is matters of intellectual property. So now musicians have been tipped on how not to bungle deals over political campaign songs, and I really hope and pray that they take this into consideration, because you're supposed to earn from your intellectual property, and this is where it comes in. Intellectual property rights. What are the organizations, or rather different channels that, including the CMOs, as well as the Kenya Association of Music Producers, Performers Rights Society of Kenya, and the Music Copyrights Society of Kenya? I hope that these artists are going to earn something, because we have had Lelo ni Lelo artists, especially where, this is the recent one, songs about Azimio la Umoja. We also have the other one, BBI Kenya Moja song to market the Building Bridges initiative. Are artists earning from their works? That is something that we need to have probably a candid conversation. If not here, maybe another time, as we look at, matters of politics. Because we know music is there to motivate, it's there to motivate and woo voters. And it is very key when it comes to matters politics. That's why whenever we hear BBI, we associate it with reggae. Nobody can stop. Nobody can stop reggae and such. So music is an integral part of our political campaigns, and I hope the artists as well as the organizations included there are going to help them earn a living. So now, we'd also, as we come to a close, we'd want to appreciate some of our viewers. There's some who came up and said, good morning. I'm tuned from Kericho. Usisahau ile maneno. This is a shout out. This is none other than Jerry Kingskip, who is watching from Kericho. Remember, you can also stream live on our various social media platforms, including YouTube, KBC Channel 1, and Facebook Live. Thank you very much for keeping us company. My Twitter handle forever remains @Ray Manyara. Victor, to you.
All right. So it's when you talked about sugar, Stephanie was smiling here. What was so sweet about sugar?
We love sugar. I was that kid who used to steal sugar once in a while when I got the chance. When I hear that Mumias is coming back, so I'm excited about it. It's a good thing for.
But Doreen should be more happy.
Our country people.
The only thing that excites me, and it's not sugar, but it could be good when it actually comes back.
What excites you? Is it about sugar?
It's not sugar. Yeah. That's what excites me.
Okay. All right. So it's that time that we take a very brief break, but when we come back, Doreen will be giving us on what's looking like on our roads. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Even if he is a star, he is still a human.
Stop daydreaming.
I can ask her to come and look.
You think she'll listen to you? She'll never change her plans.
Can officially declare...
You could stop. My father will be grateful for your kindness, whether you are a friend or an enemy.
Sooner or later, he'll lose. Even if I did nothing. His sponsors wouldn't allow him to just play his silly games. Has he even turned a profit yet?
Not only the power, but your corporation too. Or worse, you want something far beyond just that.
用一段故事建筑一座 好就不再打。
Wantia wasiwasi waniogopesha.
Mshenzi sana wewe, wajua lakini. Wewe, rudi hapa. And don't you dare walk away on me. La sivyo nitakufukuza hapa kama mnyama.
Makweli wasokuwa na haya wanamji wao.
Wamtetea nini huyu? Roho yake chafu kama ya mamake. Sari, nimekuvumilia kwa muda mwingi sana. Wataka nini?
Mundos divididos por una sombra de traición.
What? Are you sure? Who is it?
Well, I don't know. All I know is that there is someone.
But the fact that you're telling me means you know.
Over the years, I have heard rumors that Demian was a womanizer. But those were mere gossips, Lucia.
I know that, but I don't want to.
Why not? I can pay you. I'm a rich man.
No, it's not about the money. And to be honest, I'm not happy to know that you lead a miserable life. On the contrary.
Oh, please. Just please forget about what Demian wants you to do. Just drop it. Go away and forget about me, Leonardo. Leave me alone.
But I can't. It will kill me. Lying heart.
Fue sembrando el veneno y la ambición. Entre dudas.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere.
Minutes past 8 a.m. Welcome back to the program. This is still Good Morning Kenya. Let's just try and look at how our roads are looking like this Wednesday morning, and again try to see the impact of back to school on most of these roads. Oftentimes, anytime it's either closing or opening time of schools, most of these roads, heavy kind of traffic is what we usually expect to be seeing. So let's just try and look at how Kipande Road is looking like, one of those sleep roads that I usually like to look at, especially this times, because it's one of those instrumental roads. Why? It leaves areas of Wayakiwe, also coming all the way from the outskirts of Nairobi, counties of Western and Nyanza, through Wayakiwe as you head over to the city center via this sleep road coming to the CBD. So this is also why we're looking at this particular stretch, again, because of the same reason. It is back to school. Try to see how this section is looking like or doing in terms of traffic as you leave areas of Parklands, Westlands, Ojijo, Museum Hill, coming to CBD via the same route and joining to areas around the Globe roundabout. Not looking that bad at all this morning, moving at a very swift pace, green all through. The beauty is that this is actually on both lanes. So both lanes, meaning as you leave areas of Moi Avenue, that is around City Center, Globe roundabout, Muranga Road, areas around Kirinyaga Road as well, going through sections of Kipande Road and joining to areas of Ojijo Road, that's around areas of Parklands, Westlands, and all the way to Wayakiwe as you leave the Nairobi, actually going to those areas and counties that I'm mentioning. So that is what it means when you leave the sections as you head over to the estates there. And also not forgetting estates around Wayakiwe, clearly, and a number of them, areas of Kikuyu, Kino, Udhiru, Westlands as well. coming to CBD, as well as leaving CBD going to those areas. So this is just basically what I'm meaning when I'm saying on both sections or on both lanes of this particular stretch. So again, if you're leaving those areas intending to come to the city center perhaps this morning hour, this is just the best time for you to be doing that. And also, if you are along the roads, again, it's still not a bad place for you, because right now we're really be expecting to be spotting or seeing heavy kind of traffic. That is not the case at all at 12 minutes past 8. That is how it's looking like, moving at a very swift pace on both sections of this entire stretch. I mean, just because of the going back to school, really we will be expecting to be spotting or seeing heavy kind of traffic, but that looks not to be the case at all. But then again, also I believe it's because traffic police are stations on most of these sections or intersections here and there, as well as some of these minor roundabouts, to try and see how best they can be controlling traffic, because again of the prevailing situation or circumstance that continues all the way. Also again, as you leave sections of Kipande Road going to the areas of Ojiji Road, that's around areas of Parklands there, just before you get to Westlands. Again, aside from the back to school, we also know that there's still the construction of the expressway, which by the way, as mentioned by the state, it's supposed to be complete at least by mid this year. We need to be seeing progress of its opening. So that also could be a very good reason of spotting or seeing heavy kind of traffic. But again, that is not quite the case. However, there's a bit of a gridlock as you leave areas of Parklands, just actually as you leave areas of Professor Wangare Maathai Road through the roundabout, heading to areas of Parklands specific to that lane. That is just where there's a bit of traffic moving at a very, very slow pace, hence that red color, which is a clear indicator of that. On the other section, no traffic at all, moving at a very swift pace. And again, this is why I mentioned, if at all you're coming from those areas, those A states that I've just mentioned, again, this is just the best time for you to be doing that. Or if you intend to be using this particular stretch or route, this is again the best time for you to be leaving your homes, because right now, just specific on that lane, moving at a very swift pace. But also it looks like on this section, as you leave the roundabout, leaving areas of the Globe roundabout, leaving areas of Kipande Road, leaving areas of the Ojiji roundabout, around areas of Parklands, looks like things are opening up just a bit before you get to that section of the Westlands roundabout there. And again, this is where we are spotting that orange color, clear indication of traffic beginning to slightly build up, but at least altogether manageable kind of traffic there. That is how it is looking like this morning on sections of Kipande Road, which is going to be simply our focus. And because of the back to school, given the fact that it's one of those instrumental as well as major sleep roads, as it leaves areas of Wayaki Way as well as areas of the outskirts of Nairobi, just as I mentioned, counties of the western as well as the Nyanza part of the country. And we obviously know as it is back to school, clearly we'd be expecting to be spotting or seeing heavy kind of traffic. So this is why we are looking at this particular stretch. And if at all we might be needing to look at any alternative routes, then we might be doing that. But at exactly 14 minutes past 8 a.m., that is how it is looking like this morning in terms of traffic.
An idea. Even if he is a star, he is still a human.
Stop daydreaming.
I can ask her to come and look.
You think she'll listen to you? She'll never change her plans.
Can officially declare...
You could stop. My father will be grateful for your kindness, whether you are a friend or an enemy.
Sooner or later, he'll lose. Even if I did nothing. His sponsors wouldn't allow him to just play his silly games. Has he even turned a profit yet?
Not only power, bunch of corporation too. Worse, you want something far beyond just that.
用一段故事建筑一座城堡，回放进去后就不再打。One more day, one more
What if it's God's will for me not to have a child?
This has got nothing to do with your ability to conceive.
I want you to know that your pain is my pain. And your life, my life.
Hey, 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 angazia jua la pendo lako.
And welcome back. It's Wednesday, and if it's Wednesday, it's about Viewpoint. And today you want to talk about matters education. Can I say good morning, class? Yes. Good morning, teacher Victor. No. Everybody was greeted like that. Good morning, class. All right. So today we want to talk about matters education. We need to understand what education is all about today in Kenya. Students are going back to school starting yesterday. The entire week will be going back to school, and as expected, parents are feeling the heat, teachers are feeling the heat, the government itself is feeling the heat, as well as even the guardians, people who are taking care of other students as well, are feeling the heat. But nonetheless, it has to be done. We are here because of the corona pandemic, and we have to face it. Soon rather than later, all will come to an end. And I have got two gentlemen, brilliant minds, who are going to help me to understand even more. You as a student, even before you go back to school, you need to understand a thing or two. As a teacher, as a parent, or even as a government institution, we also need to understand from them. I have got two gentlemen here. I have got Mwalimu himself, Akelo Misori, who is the Secgen of Kupet. Karibu sana, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Victor.
You look so happy. You must have had a good holiday.
The whole day was not good, but the new year is so bright.
It's so bright.
And I'm so excited, and I wish all Kenyans a Happy New Year.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And on my right here, I have got Nicholas Mayo, who is the chair of the Kenya National Association of Parents, going to talk to us on behalf of the parents. Karibu sana.
Asante.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year too.
You must be a busy man. Ulichinja mbuzi na hata you didn't even share. I mean, this is not right.
It was a bit hectic. Yeah.
All right. But nonetheless, we are here.
Yeah.
Karibu sana. So let's talk about matters education today. We expect a busy week this week. What should we expect from you, Mwalimu?
We know that this year is going to be a real challenge to both the students and teachers, and because there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Because just in about 2 months we shall be expecting KCP to be on, and thereafter in late March and April we shall be having Form 4s doing their KCSE this year. The rest of the schools are also preparing, and remember this is the year when we have grade 5 transiting to grade 6.
Yes.
After the exams we will be having another marathon, and in November we shall be having another set of exams. KCSE will be there, and KCPE. And then we shall be also having the last evaluation for grade 6.
Yes.
Those will be going to junior secondary in 2023. So it is not going to be a walk in the park, and we expect a lot of pressure. That pressure is on teachers, that pressure is also on the students. But I also understand that parents also have pressure, because they must contend with very short schedules to prepare to pay fees.
Yeah,
but the parent is here. He will be telling us much about the nature of pressure they have. But I know that the school environment is going to be subjected to a lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah.
You buy the same sentiments?
Yeah, just like Mwalimu said.
Yes.
In fact, the worst hit are the parents. Because parents are the facilitators.
Exactly.
nothing can move without money. And money has to come from parents, not even the government. Because government is sometimes a delay to pay capitation. But parents must be prompt, especially taking a child to school. It needs a lot of money, transport. Now prices have been hiked. From Kisumu to Nairobi today is 3,000 instead of the normal maybe 1,200. From Kapsabet, parents called me in the morning. They are paying 2,000.
From Kapsabet?
From Kapsabet to Nairobi instead of 900, the normal price. So we are the most hit as parents of this country.
It's a worrying trend because it's a season that most parents expected that perhaps they're going to have some easy flow, of their students, their kids back to school. But here we are, as expected, it's going to be a crazy one. But as it, trying to understand how this thing is going to be. Mwalimu, starting with you, the government, the president himself said last year that this year is going to have 4 terms. And it's all because of the pandemic. How ready are we as a nation to handle this?
Thank you so much. I don't think there should, from the program and the strategy, it is going to work because it is in paper. And the thinking is that it is going to be very easy that you transit from this term to this term, which is the 3rd term of 2021, to the 1st term of 2022. And that means that when we go there, it is so easy because it was already designed from the management of the pandemic itself. But now when it comes to the practicability, that is where the challenge is, in the sense that we are not moving some pieces of material, but we are moving people. And you are going to have teachers preparing, and even as currently obtains because of management of the COVID. Some schools start as early as 6:30 in the a.m. in the morning and end at 8. So that the syllabus is covered within the short period that the terms are condensed. And that means that it is not going to be very easy. But on the other aspect, which I think the parents are talking about, if you look at the way the structure is, it means that there will be no very limited period for half terms and even holidays. In fact, to a holiday of about 10 days is not an holiday because it is just transiting from this week to next week. So that one means that with academic programs, we are going to be having what we call crash arrangement. That the teachers prepare very inadequately and then also they teach inadequately. The feedback mechanism is going to be not as natural as supposed to happen in an education environment. But all is in the name of management of this COVID. How I wish that because we were all present, both of us were present at the COVID management strategy in education. And we thought that the curriculum developers were supposed to scale down aspects of the curriculum to fit in the new circumstances. This one was not, it was shut down. Instead,
was it implemented?
It was not implemented. What was implemented was to shorten the term dates, saying that every academic year has got 39 weeks. And these ones were reduced to 30 weeks. That means that we removed aspects of the curriculum which are supporting the growth of the children, like co-curricular activities. So these are things which are also causing a lot of stress. That the all is about books and books. Teaching, reading, exams, and then what else?
And what else? And what else, Mayu?
In fact, the way Mwalimu said is true. The curriculum developers concentrated on the content, not the wholesome. The character of the children, the stress they will go through, the pressure of the teachers, and the limited time that parents will have to look for fees. So, having said that, I think we should say as parents of this country that we are a bit immune now.
You're immune?
Yes. If you compare 2021 and 2022, we are a bit immune.
Because 2021 came as a shocker.
It was a shocker, yes.
Yes.
And you could hear a lot of complaints from parents from every corner. If you go to any vernacular station or the regional station or any national station like KBC, you will hear complaints coming from them. But as from the whole of this week, I've been running around all the studios, all the radio stations, and you could feel that they're a bit immune. They are now used to.
Yeah.
Except that the issue of school unrest is still disturbing them.
Which we'll handle later on. But when you talk about issues to do with immunity, perhaps, we are just putting that brave face, because it has to be done either way. From your office, what is the general feeling?
Yeah, we compared the 10 months when our children were at home and the time they were in school.
Yes.
They were better off when they were in school. We lost a lot of them during the stench of staying home. We had a lot of teenage pregnancies. We had a lot of child labor. Absconding of school. Others went to small businesses, and they never had any mind of coming back to school.
Yeah.
So we lost, in the 10 months our children are at home, we really lost as parents.
Yes.
Because if you could hear a parent complaining that, I don't know what I'll tell my children, because most of them are saying, Daddy, Mommy, we are used to these small businesses, this hawking or some small businesses. So what is the need of going to school, and then at the end of the day you're looking for money?
So most of them opt for small businesses.
So for young people, as Malimu said, the curriculum developers actually should have considered that these people need to be around school and all the avenues, all the nitty-gritties that is required to enable a very good environment for learning and conducive for children should have been availed by the government.
Yeah.
Because government actually is a facilitator of all the conditions of education
all right.
to be available.
Walimu, either we have to give it to the government, because Uganda is reopening 2 years later. I mean, the Kenya government tried much as it was a crash program, the way you're putting it, that the government had to reorganize the education calendar to fit everything so that not so much of time is lost. Perhaps you give it to the government for making sure that however hard it was, everything is running smoothly until now, end of 2022. I suppose that we'll go back to our normal programming education calendar, right?
That's true.
Yes.
But I think the position taken by government and all Kenyans accepting the circumstances was to make sure that our children are in school. Mainly, as the parents have said, children are mainly safe at school.
And it worked.
And it worked.
Yes.
And the fear that we had during the beginning of the pandemic were dismissed by the circumstances that children were in school, and reported cases of the case overloading the school was not there. What was realized later was basically the school unrest at the end of it all. But you remember that the school unrest circumstances have been there with us for a long time. We cannot just accuse the pandemic circumstances to have caused it. But one thing which is there and which we must realize, that the bold step that the Kenya government took to ensure that children are in school only has consequences, but the consequences are far much less than the positive ends, because we have parents confessing that our children need to be in school. We did lose a lot of children to crime, teenage pregnancies, and some of them to child labor. And when they were supposed to be developed to develop into full human beings, we have made them to become adults so early. That is what the 10 months before the reopening of school cost us. Now that we are here and we have the 2023 forecast there, the only challenge we have is that this is election year, and we have got 4 terms. We will be having a lot of disruptions because the politicians of Kenya do not have the ethics to conduct their businesses in a peaceful environment. So that is what is going to cause a lot of anxiety, because many children will be attracted to the noise as in public rallies, which some of them will be just in front of the gates of our schools.
Yeah.
So that's the most unfortunate bit. And you can realize that if Parliament alone can have such kind of bad manners to beat each other, what do you think will happen?
Yeah,
where in the streets when the rival parties meet.
Yeah.
So we are exposing our children to bad things. Therefore, they should be in school.
They should be in school.
Yes.
Well, is that the same symptom? Because most of the students, most people say that students or even kids copy what adults do. And that's what they actually copy.
Yes, because if you see,
yeah,
parenting in this particular time is different from during our time or during Mwalimu's time. Because that time, children belonged to the society.
Everybody was a disciplinarian.
And the society was disciplined.
Yes.
This society, like the Mwalimu has said, is not disciplined like before. Children belong to individual parents nowadays. So they have all traits of characters coming from each family. And you can never discipline somebody's child because maybe that particular person will take you to court.
Yes.
So what we will say is, since this is electioneering period, and children learn by seeing what the adults are doing and saying, they replicate it, and that's why they are doing it. By causing school unrest. If you could hear the investigation we made, right now, like yesterday, we had a school called Bogoli.
Yes.
Last night, I was called about 9 that a dome is burning by a chair in Busia, Mr. Wanyama. And I told him, please, can you rush to the place and find out what are the causes of this? There were no teachers around. There were no adults around. So there were only the children. Na hii hasira yao ya some time back was still there.
Forward. Yeah.
It was carried forward. So and some few of them they were expelled. So they were annoyed. They wanted their friends to come back.
Yeah.
That is what caused the burning in Mogoli last night. Right now we have about 53 schools that have been burnt.
Under what period? 53 is a big number. Even you as Mwalimu, the 53, we can't say it's a small number. And you can imagine who is going to foot the cost.
It's the parents.
Yes.
Like last time it was 52. Bogoli is the first one this time. Bogoli is the first one this time. So out of 52, the investigations showed us that about 27 reasons why it's happening. One is peer pressure from the children. 2 is drug and substance abuse. 3 is a high-handedness of the principals. Number 4 is the learners want to be heard, but they have been told to be seen, but not to be heard.
To be heard. Effective communication.
And the list is long.
Yeah.
About 27 reasons why. Others are the community around, like Sigalame. They were saying we want our own to be the principal of the school. But we have to have a soma hapa, so we want them to be installed as a principal. Why bring another one from Nyanza to come and lead us from this side? So if you see the reasons coming out of the investigation, you have everybody to blame. You blame the community, you blame the teachers, you blame the parents, you blame the students, because the drug and substance abuse is a communal. It's something that comes from the community.
Yes.
And a parent alone cannot control drugs and substance abuse, not unless the community does.
It has to be intentional.
Yes.
Mwalimu, you know, when you sit in class and you look at the faces of the students, first of all, they come from different backgrounds, different ideologies. You know, they have different, religious upbringing. Whatever they were exposed to matters a lot, because as Mayu is saying, way back then, a kid belonged to the society. Everybody else was a disciplinarian, including a local pastor. Would cane you if you make a mistake. Everybody was a disciplinarian. This brings back to the issue of corporal punishment. It's been, been talked about. The CS is talking about it, and even some organizations are calling about, even the religious-based organizations saying that it should be introduced. What is your what stand on that?
Caning or corporate punishment is barbaric, and
it's barbaric.
It is barbaric, and I don't think it will bring in the discipline that we expect.
Yes.
Another thing, we have also to change our laws and conform to the international standards because of human rights. So this is a rights issue which we cannot, as teachers, be subjected that, because whom do you want to meet personal corporate punishment if it are to be reintroduced? You want the teacher who is not having the capacity to do it, because our training is not to administer corporal punishment. It is basically to use other ways to institute discipline. But as the parent has said, the society has failed. We have allowed so many things to infiltrate our society, and we are abdicating our roles as parents, that discipline is supposed to be handed over to school.
Yes.
You know, our students are being socialized by so many things, and the school cannot be the only way of developing.
Yes.
So if the society has allowed so many things, like we are socialized by social media, socialized by televisions and so on, which are not regulated in this country.
Yeah.
So what do you expect? That is the reason for which peer pressure is also coming on.
Exactly.
But there's something which the survey the parents have conducted, whoever is conducting, has left out, which should be a cause of concern. Our public secondary schools are very unequal.
Yes.
They are very unequal to the extent that they bring so many contradictions. That you have a school, I hope at the beginning you talked about parents taking about fees and so on, that schools have to pay.
Yeah.
The government has done so well and given each child in secondary school over 22,000 shillings. That one goes to the specific boat heads. But for the schools to meet their daily operational cost, that cost must be transferred to the same parents. So you find that a parent whose earning is less than 3,000 per month is expected to pay an extra 60,000 in a secondary school.
Which is strenuous.
But how can this parent meet this cost? When this child is in this kind of school,
exactly,
he sees or she sees a lot of unequal. Because some parents bring their children when they have been booked on a flight, or a driver is detailed to drop the child with a V8 to a school. And another child who comes to school who has walked over 20 kilometers to reach the same school. So our schools are very unequal. So this is a thing which happens. Another thing, we have to discuss the concept of dormitories in our schools. Why do we insist in boarding schools? Why do we insist in categorization of schools, that this is a national school, this is an extra county school, and this is a sub-county school?
You have been quite vocal about abolishing boarding schools.
We must start negotiating ourselves from insisting on dormitory schools, because majority of the schools being banned are not, the banning is not subjected to classroom.
Right.
The banning is basically on dormitories.
Not even the
kitchen.
Do
you know what happens in the dormitories most schools? Most schools are 3 deckers or 4 deckers. So the distance between the last boy or the last gun to the roof is just few inches. This is what nobody is addressing. You go to some schools, because of the 100% transition, nobody considered to place buildings to schools to increase the number of classrooms. So some schools had to use tents, hired tents to accommodate learners in their schools. So that is what is escalating the cost. So if we have to change our mindset to have children walking from their homes to schools, then we will have very limited, we leave limited attention paid to banning of schools. Because the school you will be banning your school, not their school. You have heard what has happened in like Sigalame, where the local community who took part in the construction of the school largely are now asked to accommodate somebody from somewhere else. The many problems we have in our schools is because our schools are the largest public enterprises. because there are people who are interested in supplies. There are people who are saying that this head teacher who has come to our school will not conform. This is not being investigated, because these are the things which are creeping into our schools and causing the burning of schools. In fact, I downplay substance abuse, because during our times there were boys and girls who were taking substances, but these are people who are very mild, very mild. They come to class, they just sleepy. Where do they get the strength to go and burn? So these people who have burned schools, to a large extent, are people who are just organized.
I'm still interested in understanding the issue, because you're so passionate about abolishment of boarding schools. I will ask you, what is the rationale and how possible that can get? But then, before I come to you to answer that, do you still buy the same idea that it's a business enterprise for some people out there of having public schools? We have got suppliers, we have got people from the procurement departments and what. So it's a chain of business. So everything goes as a parent.
Absolutely, because the research we did in the schools that had school unrest, that is one of the reasons, and we found out that some contractors collude with the principals and some rock students, so that something is happening, something is done, and they don't act immediately to avert the arson.
So they let it to spiral fast.
They let it happen, then immediately they send the children home, bring parents with money, and they start construction. So we had made a recommendation as parent association that whenever a school has a school unrest, let TSC transfer that teacher, that principal, in 24 hours.
Okay.
And the information, we got it from a former principal. Because if you engage a sitting principal, it's a bit defensive. When you engage to a former principal who has gone through all those,
they will open up.
They will open up. And they told us, if you work hard and have this teacher transferred in 24 hours, then most of them will know if anything happens, we will not gain anything, because after all, if I don't stop the school unrest, I'll be transferred to another school. And we had said we want this teacher to be transferred to a day school, not necessarily
a boarding school. Right.
Because as he says, it's true. A boarding school is an enterprise for everybody, because there's a lot of tenders, there's a lot of money moving around in the boarding schools, and 25% of our schools which are boarding are the causes of our problems.
25% generally. Exactly, because you rarely hear of day schools being burned down by students.
We have a whopping 75% being day schools, and they are very good, they're very comfortable, very silent. You can never hear any complaint from day schools. So what I would also support Mwalimu by saying that it's high time we should have a national dialogue on the boarding. Yes. Because I remember when we were in Mombasa for KBC conference, everybody was talking about it. People were saying, if this is it necessary? Categorization of schools, national schools, every parent is fighting for Kenya High, every parent is fighting for Alliance Girls, Alliance Boys, Nairobi School. And still, you can still find a child in Maseno or any other school in Homa Bay attaining an A in a day school.
Yes.
So what is the rationale of having very few schools and having all these fights for only 103 national, I think it's 103 national schools in Kenya. And you can find that the application for Kenya High, for example, could be almost 130,000.
Yes.
And the vacancies there are only 800. Kapsabet Boys, the other time it was almost 80,000 applicants. And they only have 600 positions. So I would say it's a high time we should have a national dialogue on deboarding. Yeah.
My interest is still to understand how this can be achieved, because you can imagine a student coming all the way from North Hall or Mandera and been admitted to Lenana School or maybe Alliance or whichever school, part of the country, or even Kakamega School. So how would you accommodate that student? How will it be possible? Just break it down for me, Mwalimu.
Let me not come to solve your problem.
Yes.
But let me just tell you a scenario that the concept of boarding schools is something which is alien, because our education system before colonial era was not this type that we have in boarding schools.
Yes.
We had ways of educating the youth, and they were growing into responsible citizens. But now when we adopted what the international best practices had, we chose the concept of elitist schools. Because even in Britain or Germany, most or elsewhere, even France,
yes,
the schools which are specific for development, like leadership, those are the schools which allow for boarding. Or if you want to produce pastors, like priests, I'm a Catholic, they will go to seminaries. Those are where they are being brought up in this regard. But education is supposed to be socializing people to the country where they live. You cannot learn an equal life in a school, because what has brought the boarding concept has brought a lot of inequalities and unequal standards, where children are exposed to a lot of luxury being displayed by those who have, and those who do not have are just watching. This is what has caused a lot of discontent in our schools. If children are walking from school, like for example, majority of our primary schools are day school, and they are providing education. What would happen if the children transit from this primary school to the next primary school? For example, I was a student at Aguru Sarai School. Aguru Sarai School is in Homa Bay. So Aguru Sarai Primary School is there. There are so many other primary schools which can serve Aguru Sarai.
Aguru Sarai and Aguru Primary.
Aguru Sarai Primary School. Just a fence. And the number who are being admitted in Aguru Sarai today is about 600 from ones. Those ones can be supplied by so many schools which surround Aguru Sarai. The rest will go to other schools also which is around there. Then the teachers are staffed. The concept of having national schools, when you rear the national education goals, is to provide is one, or to achieve the national unity concept. But why do you take 4% of the students to be the ones who are subjected to national unity concept? 4%, not even 10. Because out of the number of students we have, only about 5,000 are in national schools. How many students do we have in Form 1 currently? Another concept which I want to bring on board, which must be understood. A school like Maseno, or maybe, let me talk about a school I know best, like Aguru Sarai School. Aguru Sarai School and Kisia schools were not constructed to accommodate the number they accommodate today. The sizes of their schools in terms of area have not increased. So you realize that Aguru Sarai, which was basically supposed to admit 600 students, now has 2,000 students. Kisi, which was also supposed to have just a maximum of 800, now have 2,200 students. From one alone has got 670.
That's like
They are about 6 streams. That is what was supposed to be the total number of the school. So the area of the school in terms of dimensions has not increased. They have only increased classrooms which have caused congestion, the dormitories which have caused congestion. The playground at Kisi School were basically 2. Now they cannot use the 2 because of the space. When the students are out, only one soccer pitch can be used. So how do you expect comfort? How do you expect growth to happen in such kind of a slum which has been brought into an elitist school? Because Kisi School was called Kisi Government School. And therefore the best were the ones coming to that school. Even Alliance was basically for the best. Now we want to infuse what we call national integration. And we are only focusing on 4% of our students. So it is a whole flop. It has contradicted the policy of national integration, the national nationhood, and so on. So we need just to have children coming from their homes to school. They will not burn the community property because they belong to that community. But now when you bring somebody to Alliance who has not seen something, you have talked about North Hall, he will see or she will see contradiction upon arrival at school. Why do we have to have that one in our country?
What you call a culture shock.
Oh, it is a culture shock. So the child takes a whole problem. That's why the child can be easily hooked by children who have come from another exposure, another social environment.
Yes.
So we must guard against this. And guarding against this is a national conversation. I am very happy that we now have started seeing the National Railway line. You realize that the chairman, Parents Association, has indicated that the students from Kisumu are paying 3,000 to Nairobi to go to school. That is what the parent had. The parent is paying that fare and is having no food. The child comes to school, the child does not have the normal shopping like the others. What do you think? There's desperation, and that's why the school has to run.
I can just imagine.
Yes.
But then, from the parents' perspective, because it's a national dialogue, you're all agreeing that should be embraced, so that, as you've put it, even as we used to walk from home to Yugi's primary school each and every day at 5 a.m. and go to school and that, what have you. But some people say that the current society can't handle that because most parents, one is going to the left, another one going to the right, and everybody's literally busy. How will this be achieved? Because first of all, the first point of call is a parent, not even a teacher. Yeah.
From our end, we've had discussions, several discussions on the deporting.
Yes.
And we thought it is the best time now to reduce it from 25% to maybe 5%. The 5% will consist of the ASAL areas who children are supposed to have lunch programs or feeding programs for them to be in school.
Yeah. Like
Otherwise,
West Pokot and Turkana region experience
the
in program.
The ASAL area, about 16 counties.
Yeah.
Because if there's no lunch for them, if there's no food for them, they'll not be in school. So if that category of 5% only remains, the rest of the country can be comfortable in day schooling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe a few of the parents who walk away from home, just a few of them, maybe 2%. So it will make a total of 5%. So if we reduce from 25% to 5%, then we are ready to go. Yes. Because we cannot do away the lunch programs. Because we will miss those children. And of course, 100% has brought them to school.
Yes.
By government giving them food is by luring them to come to school. If government doesn't give food, like Nakonek does, they'll not go to school. So maybe those ones will remain as boarding.
The way it's stated that special categories of school, seminaries, vocational training colleges that require a lot of attention.
And now that the emerging of CBC, CBC actually is the best model for day schooling, because a lot of values is needed, a lot of parental involvement is needed. It will be very hard for a parent coming from Homa Bay and the child is in Nairobi school to instill the values to that child, because most of the time that child will be with the teachers.
Exactly.
Very expensive for that parent to come all the way from Homa Bay to Nairobi school. So it will be better for that child to be in Ringo. Ringo in Ringa in that a neighboring area for them.
A few kilometers from Agoro Sare.
Yeah.
Right. But then now, when it's about delocalization, which government was talking about delocalization of teachers, which they were talking about, if you're a teacher from this particular region, you don't have to work there. Like police officers, you don't have to work in your area. They can be transferred at WAME to go and serve from different positions. But then now, the issue of CBC, which is just talked about, and it brought a lot of heat and tension, and you also part of the court case,
Yes.
the Parents Association.
Yeah.
How did it go before I come to you? How did it go?
We are admitted. We have enjoined, and we are arguing that we are for it as parents of this country. We support the advantages that CBC brings to our children. Like now, you cannot compare a child in 844 and a child with CBC. A CBC girl and a CBC girl and the 844 girl is very different. This other one, you will find when you come home, she has done all the work, all the chores of the family without instruction from the parent. The 844 one will wait for instructions from the parent. They're quite unique.
That sounds quite different.
This one can control herself or can control the other siblings all alone. The 844, there's the CBC one, especially this grade 5 CBC. They also ask parents that, can I help to wash plates for you? If the parents complain that, no, this is not a work, she insists that we were told by our teacher.
But ma'am, teacher said
we should be doing this.
Kids are innocent.
Yeah, they're innocent. So they say the way it is. And the 844 one, you have to look for that child. You could be busy in the bedroom, busy in the dining room, but when you come out, they are nowhere to be seen.
Yeah.
They have gone to the field playing. So as a parent, it is a bit hectic for us to compare the two.
Yeah.
So we prefer the CBC because they are a bit friendly, they are open, we discuss with them, they ask questions. Unlike the 844 one, they don't even ask questions. They just wait for your instructions. And they will not tell you whether they have agreed or not. You will know by them doing what you told them or not. That is after maybe another 6 hours. If you are going to work, when you come home in the evening, you will find out whether they did the work you gave them or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the CBC ones, they will have done everything, even without your consent.
Okay. You know, when you talk about CBC, Kenyans will always be Kenyans. You know, even the Israelites, you know, they opposed change when they were being told, you guys, it's now high time for you to leave. They said, no, you are lying to us. We are used to this place. But they were told, you know, nimetumwa, you have to go. CBC faced a lot of protest, and it faced a lot of obstacles from the parents, and others are still complaining that it's giving parents lots of work in terms of you know, they are not able to understand pretty well, because they're trying to involve the parents as well, who is supposed to do what. Let me ask you, Mwalimu, as a parent, and when you talk about CBC, how is it being, parents getting it? Some parents are still saying that it's been tedious to them.
It is apparent that the parent has said that it has got a lot of values. What I know with the CBC and the war around it was basically because of communication. The Ministry of Education did not communicate effectively the strategy which was laid in the implementation of CBC. And therefore, that is what caused the problem. The teachers had the shock because by the time the implementation was being begun, the number of teachers who had been socialized to accept it had not been brought about. But I hope now things have changed. The only challenge which is there is that CBC is coming to secondary schools in 2023. And I wonder whether the government has already instituted the correct mechanism to socialize the teachers in preparation for that implementation. It is just 1 year, and already we have complained that the term is too short. The year is too short, and we have got 4 terms. So it is a race against time to ensure that as we progressively move to 2023 to admit the first CBC in junior secondary school, a sufficient number of teachers shall have been brought to understand what they expect. Because the real issue which I think is being sorted out by our primary school counterpart, and which the parent has confessed is successful, is the element of assessment. How would the CBC implementers in junior
Which the
secondary
proposal
school
says that should be continuous.
should continue. How would they start doing this?
Yeah.
And I think that is now the task given to Teacher Service Commission and the Ministry of Education to ensure that our secondary school teachers are already being brought to speed for the implementation of the first cadre of teachers. One major problem which the CBC will have in the implementation at the junior secondary is that we wonder whether by that time the schools will be ready to admit very young students, because those who are going from grade 6 to grade 7 are still just about 12 years. How they will handle the very young ones, because currently the form ones who are in school, majority of them are 14 years old. 15 years old. So that one must be something for us to worry about. The teachers must be prepared. Therefore, the capacity of the teacher needs to be built in advance for that kind of arrangement. The school infrastructure must also improve, both the classrooms and the laboratories and technical workshops should be built, because in the junior secondary we expect the learners to be preparing to adjust to what we call the choice of pathways, and that means that the teachers there must be adequately prepared.
Absolutely.
To prepare them for those pathways.
That also sent me to the next question, where there's some proposals that even universities in future will go the CBC way. How that can it be possible when that happened? Because when you have got junior secondary school and then now we try and do the transition to universities, and some will even opt for vocational training college depending on your area of focus in future. So allow me to take a break, and when we come back we're still going to talk about the issue of the students' unrest finally, because we also have a counselor who is going to be talking to us on issues with addiction. Some of them are because of drug addiction, some of them because of movies, parents and what have you. We'll discuss more of that when we come back. So let's take a break. We'll be right back with more.
I have an idea. Even if he is a star, he is still a human.
Stop daydreaming.
I can ask her to come and look.
You think she'll listen to you? She'll never change her plans.
Can officially declare...
You could stop. My father will be grateful for your kindness, whether you are a friend or an enemy.
Sooner or later, he'll lose. Even if I did nothing. His sponsors wouldn't allow him to just play his silly games. Has he even turned a profit yet?
Not only with power, but your corporation too. Or worse, you want something far beyond just that.
用一段故事建筑一座城堡，回忆放进去后就不再打。One more day, one more day.
I was born with a heart of a champion. Does it take a very long time to say thank you, Jaja, thank you, Jaja. When the music I play, sweet, sweet reggae music. On the highway, I ain't taking no calls on my struggles in the rear.
go to curriculum delivery.
And welcome back. We are yeah, welcome back. Just having it's a classwork. Today I'm literally in class. We always learn in each and every single day of our lives. So I'm in the right place. I'm getting one-on-one education today. I'm better than you. All right, anyway, so we are still going on with this discussion. Let's just understand the issue of CBC, because most parents complained, but nonetheless, the government said that, CBC is here to stay. Starting from the parents' side, are you ready to go the long haul?
Yeah, let me first respond to the complaint from parents.
Yes.
Initially, parents complained, yes. We got the information. And it was because of the homework. The interpretation teachers were maybe putting across their children that you go and download this. You go to a cyber. You go look for clay from somewhere. Actually, parents were complaining that we don't have time to look for clay. We don't have time to go and download. We don't have money for all this. But when KICD came up with some guideline on homework, CBC homework, then it cleared almost all the complaints that parents had.
Yeah.
So, let me give an example of environment, for example. If your child wants to learn more about the sky, as a parent, your obligation is only to take him or her out maybe at 9 when the sky is clear. Let that child observe the sky, see the stars, and you just stand there as a security for that child. You will not do yourself the observation. It is a child. After which she will take that observation tomorrow to their class and discuss with their peers that last night I was taken out by my father, my mother. I observed the sky, some stars were falling off. I asked my dad, why are the stars falling? And he couldn't answer, because we are not supposed to act as a teacher. Your role is just take that child out, let him observe what is observing its environment, for example. If the child wants to differentiate between living things and non-living, just take a photo of the non-living, like stones, and the living things. We have animals, we have pets in our families, and that's just what we work as a parent.
Yeah.
All the details we bear by Mwalimu.
Yes.
Not me. Me is just to guide that particular child. So the guideline we've had from KICD has given us hope that, like many other parents were worried that we are now doing the work of teachers. So after the guideline came out, we are just supposed to guide the child, keep moral support, and our main work is to instill values, respect other people's property. Start with the pencil, start with the ruler. If it's not yours, kindly please don't take it. Don't put it into your bag. Those small things.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, I want us to close this issue. Ask you this. It must be a very expensive, undertaking by the government, and the government insists that CBC is here to stay. How are we going to, make sure that at the end of the day, all our brains, the way you're putting it, we are socialized in a way to understand that CBC is here, it's helpful, and then we lock the other side of our brains off 844 and open a new one to CBC?
Thank you so much. One thing which needs to be understood is that education is not a cheap affair.
Yeah.
Any form of education. And this one, which has got a very ambitious strategy of industrializing Kenya and making Kenyans think and be job creators, where we also want the children to pursue what they desire to do in life, is not going to be a cheap affair. So it is a matter of priority. And that priority is what is lacking. You will find that so many people who are in position of decision making are still asking questions that than providing solutions to the existing problem. One thing which must be underscored is that Kenyans are very litigious, that even when something has taken over, because the idea of coming up with a change of curriculum and finally CBC did not just start with the current CS. It was dealt with by nearly 4 CSs in the process. And now finally when it is implemented, people are raising eyebrows that it is this CS. It is not a matter of a particular cabinet secretary who is the owner of this. It is Kenyans must accept that when you are not there, somebody must have taken part in making decisions. So Parliament must now prioritize education as very significant. And for it to succeed more successfully, we need more teacher numbers who are well paid. We also need further commitment from government to ensure that the infrastructure which is desirable is instituted so that the learning environment become a hub for creativity. We already indicated that there are nearly four pathways. We have got the sciences, we have the maths, and we have the creative arts and technology aspect. These things must go all in CBC. Are we having the schools already being prepared for the pathways, especially secondary schools? We need this early identification that in this locality, like for example, you said you come from around Oyugis. Yes. Is Agorosari going to take technology? Andaringa taking creative arts, Wangapala taking which other programs, sciences and so on, so that we have got selection. And that is what is there. So it is not going to be a cheap affair.
Is government committed to this?
The government has shown commitment in terms of establishing space. That is the only commitment which we have seen. And the technical aspect is now to develop the capacity of the teachers who are going to be the main facilitators of this CBC program. Unless that one is done, then we will not go far with CBC. We will start being nostalgic about 844 because 844 did not put a lot of demand on government to make provisions. Remember at the beginning of McKay report, when the late President Moi insisted that we must change our curriculum, there were so many facilities which were taken schools, but schools were not ready. But even after 2013 general election, you remember the Uhuru administration had promised laptops, and a lot of tablets were taken to schools. They even lacked space where they can be stored. Some of those things are still lying there. So we don't want a further white elephant projects being generated in this CBC thing. Let us be realistic. The parents have already said that they are happy because the kind of children who are now at home in grade 5 are very responsible. The sense of responsibility should now not be lost, because that is what we are missing in the current cohort of generation of 844. That you find somebody who still want to ask you for provisions when this person is 25 years old. But already somebody who is 9 is saying that, Daddy, can I help you wash the dishes? Can I also partake to the preparation of food? Can I also wash your car? These are very positive indicators that CBC, given a chance, can really transform this society. We want to create jobs. Victor, I hope if you go down the memory lane, how did American curriculum change? It was because the Russians had gone to the moon. It was an overnight thing. And we are not taking an overnight arrangement. It's gradual. We have already assessed our circumstance and said that what can spur the development in this nation is to change our mindset, to develop a curriculum which will, when implemented properly, will make us create jobs. Because the traditional way of looking at preparing a teacher, a doctor, is gone. We now want people who are going to create cottage industries at home so that they can sell their wares in the village. So that is what is there.
Mwalimu, from your side as a parent, where you're sitting, because I'm told we have for a few minutes, from where you're sitting, what is the future like as you know, as the KNAP, from the education system? Paint for me a picture on how Kenya will be in the next 10 years to come. education sector?
Yeah, one, we'll have many of our children being self-employed.
Self-employed, right.
Because of CBC. Two, we'll have most of them being responsible. They'll not be dependent on their parents, like the way 844 kids are doing.
Yeah.
Maybe at the age of 20, 22, even 25.
You're self-reliant.
They are still reliant on their parents.
Yeah.
And you're seeing this grade 5, who is almost 9 or 10, wants to be independent. So we are seeing at least light at the end of the tunnel. In 10 years' time, the wastage of having our children, almost 800,000 or 700,000, being lost to borders, and only absorbing 200,000 to proceed to transition to either colleges or universities. Right now in March, we'll have a national exam.
Exactly.
1.2 of them will be doing exam. But unfortunately, only 300 will transit. The rest.
That's a big number.
Yeah. And we've been doing that all year round. Since 2016. More than 700. More than 450 attained the grade of D, minus and E. Where in Kenya will you take your child when he has an E or D? Nowhere.
Yes.
So there will be no transition for those children. But during the incoming curriculum CBC, we will not have any losers. All of them will transit to various pathways according to their strength.
So far as we speak, 50%, he said that 50% of the exam is done. So when we come to the national exam, we only need 40%.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 2020. 3 times at 60. Exams will be only 40%.
How will that be achieved?
Yeah, it's achievable. Like now, when we do a lot of assessment.
Yes.
Like when we monitor the grade 5, when they were doing the assessment, it was just simple. They don't sit like the way we did in the desks. They sit in a round table. They collaborate.
Yes.
They discuss.
It's like something like a teamwork.
It's up just the way we are now here.
Yeah.
So I hear what he says, he hears what I have, and we also hear questions from you. And we interrogate and we understand one another. And teachers will award marks according to the level of understanding of the contributions.
Perhaps I'm now curious to ask this on Mwalimu. Do you think the government perhaps ought to have put a certain, however small it could be, just a small program to educate even the parents as well on the issue of CBC? Because it's like everybody has gone back to class. Because students will come from school with their homework, they will include their parent to help them do the assignments. Perhaps some kind of sensitization ought to have been done to the parents as well?
The original design had included the sensitization of parents.
Yes.
But because these ones will also require resources.
Yeah.
And our society being a very politicized society, so many parents, I don't think even if this program was there, could have taken the challenge to attend. But the issue is not to have the parents to be in the process of this. They are only supposed to be observants. They're supposed to give guidance at home on aspects which are relevant to them. And this is a traditional role of parents. It is not being included because of CBC. Education of the child is a responsibility of the parent and the community. The community in this case of ours is the government. The government has taken and has given you a guideline on what to do. So what is your role as a parent? The parents only need to take his or her role. You expose the child to what the school has instructed to be done. Like what Mahiu has said, that when the child is learning about the environment and it is about the skies, you take the child out at 8 in the night to observe. The child is supposed to share with this experience with the class and with their teacher, who is going to now to edit what actually is supposed to have been observed and what is supposed to have been learned in that process. I think the whole concept of CBC is a fantastic arrangement, but we needed a lot of sensitization. And that's why I started by saying that what we expected from the government was communication, constant communication, so that at least these misgivings could have been allayed very early. Yeah.
All right. Yes.
One very important point
kindly
on CBC is that it's not necessary that parents should be educated enough. No, as he says, it's true. It's just a traditional way of parenting.
Yes.
The role
the
of
work
a parent
is to monitor.
Whether you are a professor, you are a doctor, you are a degree holder, you are a standard 8 dropout, it doesn't matter. Parent is a parent. Obligation is the same. So people will say, we want learned parents. Especially, I had this during the KBC conference. Teachers were saying, we want our parents to be educated. No, they should not. They'll just be sensitized, the way Missouri is saying. Sensitization on their obligation. We have parents who have not gone to school. I'll give you an example.
Yes.
CEO of KICD, Professor Ongondo, is a professor. A mother, up to now, she's illiterate. She has never gone to school. But you can see the wonders she has done to take care of her own child, to attend.
Who's not taking care of the students.
Yeah, he's now a professor.
Yeah.
And Professor himself, Ongondo himself, would tell us, I'm a live example. A mother usually visits him at all times during the school visits. And he would encourage him that I want my child, my son, I want you to pass. The future is bright for you. Na hiyo maneno ilikaa kwa kichwa yake. So it doesn't need a light parent or a learned parent to make one succeed. Yeah.
All right. I'm told we are running out of time, but Mwalimu, here we consume politics, and 2022 is here. I cannot let you go. Here we consume politics, and Kenya politics right now, its gloves are off. Let me ask this question: ground ikwaje?
Our ground is
politically
fine.
Speaking, class dismissed.
The ground is fine, Victor. The ground is fine, and I think this kind of mindset I have is going to be transferred to the village.
Yes,
Homa Bay as a county. So I'm going to run for the position of governor. I think I'm the preferred candidate. On the ground.
No politician will say that I'm second to anyone.
No, definitely mine, I think, is almost unanimous.
Okay.
Yeah, because I have all it takes. I have the kind of exposure that Homa Bay needs. And from what I've said, you can see what we lack there is a basic template to operate with. And that is what Homa Bay needs. Because if they had somebody who had a basic template at the initial stage, we would be playing in the league of Makueni and Kitui with those cottage industries and so on.
Right.
But I think the likes of those who are there run out of ideas, and the people who are coming on board have got a lot of things to talk about.
Allow me to ask you the issue of nominations, the consensus that is being touted by the I suppose that you're going to use ODM ticket?
I'm going on ODM ticket.
All right. The consensus method of choosing, during the nomination period, what is your take on that?
I don't think it may work in our state because there is a lot of biasness. When you talk about consensus, there's a lot of biasness. But that's what the party chooses.
Yes.
I don't think the party will have any other person. Even in that circumstance, they will definitely arrive at my candidates. Whichever way, whether it is through the universal suffrage or by consensus or by negotiation, these people will definitely converge to say that Akelo is the preferred. Now that and they will like it. They will not have lost.
Now that you've declared on a national television that you're going to run for the governor's seat of Homa Bay County, what are you likely to change? Perhaps 2 or 3 things. Because when you talk of Makueni, you talk of Machakos County and all these other counties, they're all the same, so to speak. 3 things that you'd want to deliver to the Homa Bay residents.
What Homa Bay lacks is focused leadership. We must transform the mindset of people from handout to being creative. Homa Bay is one county with the 100% literacy level, nearly 100%, because it is 80% literate in Homa Bay. That is a very huge human resource that Homa Bay has, which has never been tapped. We have all the resources that you may
I hope parent is listening to that.
Yes. You may have all the resources. Homa Bay is 80% literate. It is above even the national index, even above what Nairobi as a city has.
That's huge.
Yeah, it is huge. That means that we are not doing bad, but we are in the press for all the bad things, that teenage pregnancies in Homa Bay is terrible, and all the HIV is also high, and so on. And our health status, it must be corrected. So I will be addressing the issues of health. I will be addressing the issue of provision of clean water. I will also be addressing the element of unemployment, which is not dependent on people getting to work in Kindu Bay or Homa Bay, but people getting back to the basics, working on their farms and doing business in the normal way. Because Homa Bay is a serious tourist hub. We have got the hot springs, we have got the clear water, or the Lake Victoria part, of which is in Nyanza. Homa Bay occupies the largest stretch. In fact, it is the one having the longest stretch, all the way from Fangano up to the level of Kisumu, the border of Homa Bay with Kisumu. That is a huge one. But the fish industry in Homa Bay has been raped, and it has not give provision for livelihoods as it were in the past. So this is what must be revived. Tourists will definitely come to Ruma National Park. So you can see we have everything. That is also the home of Gor Mahia, because the name Gor Mahia comes from Homa Bay. So
you're forgetting Tomboya Mausoleum.
Tomboya Mausoleum is also there.
Exactly.
So what we lack, Simbi Nyaima is a serious tourist destination. So we have water sports which is untapped. So Homa Bay is the way to go.
When you start talking about politics, we all know politicians. They will talk on end. But I promise I will call you for another topic altogether. Take politics.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And I just need to thank you so much, gentlemen, for taking your time to help us discuss matters of education. Today I've understood how CBC is important. All right, from the elite minds, we are able to understand. That is why education is a constant affair. The moment you stop learning, then you're dead. All right? Thank you so much for joining us. I've been talking to Akelo Misori, who is a Mwalimu himself, an alumni of Agoro Sare, my neighbor. And you've talking to my governor, incoming governor, Homa Bay County. Okay. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I've been talking to Nicholas Mayo, who is the national chair of the Kenya National Association of Parents. We are taking a break. We are not done yet, but remember, later on in the day, we're having that discussion from Parliament. Parliamentarians will be discussing that parliamentary, the Political Parties Amendment Bill 2021. It's going to be fireworks. So let's wait for that as well. For now, let's take a break. We'll be right back.
An idea. Even if he is a star, he is still a human.
Stop daydreaming.
I can ask her to come and look.
You think she'll listen to you? She'll never change her plans.
Can officially declare...
You could stop. My father will be grateful for your kindness, whether you are a friend or an enemy.
Sooner or later, he'll lose. Even if I did nothing. His sponsors wouldn't allow him to just play his silly games.